trying to get the best shot of the crash site, but these are the visuals that we bring for you latest, as the cranes, like my colleague Ankit said, have been in place since last evening. They've been trying to remove the tail portion of the flight that had crashed into the Medical College hostel. These visuals, of course, coming in of workers. Remember, there are at least 100 workers there who've been trying, and 40 teams who've been trying to remove the debris from the crash site. A part of the tail had been removed earlier and another body had been recovered. As you can see, the tail portion there has been lodged into the building. Now, what we've heard from some of the testimonials earlier, where the students spoke to several media outlets as well as NDTV, where they've said that the tail was the one that made impact with the building first. Remember, the flight had broken on impact, which we have described what exactly took place when the flight had made impact was when the emergency door broke open, which led to the lone survivor as well, who had then jumped out of the emergency door. The others, unfortunately, having died in the blaze that occurred after the flight had crashed. It turned into an inferno, which led to the accident, which lost lives of everyone on board except one. Now, of course, these visuals coming in are of the tail portion trying to be moved. They're hooking up cranes onto the tail portion. Remember, this portion is in fact the only part of the plane that is somewhat intact. However, the black box has been recovered. That is what is going to be giving us most of the details as to what took place. Now, the black box has recordings of the cockpit, which includes conversations between the pilots as well as the ground control. So remember, there was a mayday call that was made by the pilot at the end moment. Now, the pilots had very less time to make decisions and to make the call as well. As you would have seen in the visuals that we have been playing repeatedly of the crash, the plane took off, and within about 30 seconds, we saw that it had crashed and fallen onto this medical hostel complex. Now, what's left of it is the tail portion, which is again now being moved. Now, while this is taking place, there's the investigation team that's on the ground as well. There are several teams, DGCA, NSG team is on the ground as well. Yesterday, the Prime Minister had visited the crash site and taken stock of the rescue operations. He had been briefed by the Civil Aviation Minister. And today, the Civil Aviation Ministry is holding an important meeting on safety of airlines as well. That's another crucial meeting that's coming in. We're also expecting the Civil Aviation Ministry to be addressing the media shortly, where we'll perhaps be briefed on the decisions being made in that meeting and what was discussed. But of course, as of now, clearing operations of the debris is taking place at the crash site. This could take days, remember, for all the debris to be removed. We're learning that in a couple of hours, perhaps we can expect portion of the tail to be moved. The tail portion that is currently lodged into the building is going to be shifted, and that's the attempt that's being made right now by the workers who are on ground. They've been working non-stop trying to remove the debris from the ground. The reporters, like my colleague Ankit was reporting earlier, there's been a bit of chaos there. The reporters are being cleared from that area as well. And my colleague Manogya had been reporting from the ground that some of the medical college students who said that their files, their documents, their personal belongings, which are stuck in the building, are not being retrieved as well as of now, because it's unsafe for anybody to head towards the building where this plane's tail is stuck, and the debris is there currently, so nobody is being allowed near that building as well. Although the death toll currently is at 275, there are still some people from the Medical College hostel who are still missing. We'll of course track the latest for you from the ground. For now, a short break.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि एनडीए सरकार में हम अगले 10 साल में विकसित भारत के सपने को साकार करके रहेंगे। अटल से तो विकसित भारत की तस्वीर है। प्रेरणा और प्रगति जब एक साथ जुड़ते हैं तो एक नए युग की नींव पड़ती है। भारत माता की
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Gensol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have two credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Junkie brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course, but a lavish flat in Gurgaon's luxurious DLF Carmelias.
Now, debris clearance is underway in Ahmedabad at the Air India Plane Crash site. The tail portion is being removed with the help of cranes. Another body had been recovered earlier from when part of the tail portion had been removed. The death toll now stands at 275. My colleague Ankit reports from the crash site. Ankit, take us to the latest. We are getting live shots of cranes there hooked onto the tail portion and is now being removed.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about. Somehow the administration has decided that they want to make our life difficult here, and that's why a lot of policemen came and they wanted the media to be moved from this place. Remember, everything else is shut. It's only this private property which people have been absolutely gracious and kind enough for us to be on this terrace and give our viewers all across the country and the world images of this, the defining images of this air crash of AI-171. As we were speaking, there are workers on top of the tail that you are seeing at this moment, those who are trying to hook certain belts around the body, from around all across the body of the tail to try and get a hook of both these cranes, which are eventually going to be used to pick this up and brought it down. The entire, idea at least is to initially try and bring it down in one piece. If that is not possible, then of course the wreckage would be brought in, broken in. It will be cut into two possibly and then brought in. These cranes that you see here were put in place about 4 or 5 in the evening yesterday. JCB was brought in to clear the debris all across this compound, and after that these two heavy lifters have been put here. Now both these cranes since morning were in idle position. Just about a couple of hours back, both their arms were extended, and as we are speaking, workers are right on top of this wreckage. The biggest part of this aircraft, which is intact, of the wreckage of AI-171, which still is intact, which went into the mess, the first floor of this 2-floor building, where at this moment this is lodged in. I was on the very first night, on Thursday night, when I had come in here, I was able to go inside the mess, and the scenes there, as our viewers have seen, absolutely heart-wrenching. It's difficult to use any adjective that could describe it better. But the food which was on the plates of the doctors, those who were ready to eat, still there inside when we had gone on Thursday evening. Since then, the operations to try and remove the debris from this place have begun. And let me tell you, it is not an easy operation. One, because of the climate here, it is extremely hot with the humidity, over 55% here in Ahmedabad. Temperatures hovering around 39 to 40 degrees, 38 to 39 degrees, and it becomes a very, very difficult time right in the afternoon, even for us, while we are reporting what's happening here. So it is a difficult operation, and then the wreckage is around 600 meters in the radius of 600 meters from the tail that you see at this moment. This goes on around these buildings. Apart from what you are seeing, the tail being hooked to these cranes. There is also one of the engine of this Dreamliner 787, which is quite intact. Yes, there is damage, but still quite intact. That also becomes an important part of the investigation that will later answer why this one of the worst air tragedies. Why has it taken place? We also know. And since yesterday, it's now been more than 2 days since yesterday, when you come and stand here, the smell of death, of rotting flesh is still hanging while you are inhaling at this moment. And you know why that would be, because a short while back, there were rescuers, a tough job for them. Unfortunately, human remains were found as far as this place is concerned. Right from the tail, we saw them being retrieved, quite, horrific and, absolutely unfortunate, in fact, that the people and what is left of them was lying in the way it was. Then, of course, it was recovered. Remember, all these people from the NDRF, SDRF have been tirelessly working on this spot. There have been NSG teams, AAIB, that is the Aviation Accident Investigation Bureau, which also went on to investigate, and they recovered the black box right from this very roof, which until yesterday was still a better structure than what it is right now. It has been broken down, the terrace boundary and the terrace entirely has been broken down so that this operation can take place. I'll ask my camera person, he will show you how the second crane is now being moved in position. You can see the pulley of that crane moving, in fact, as I speak, and being put in the position so that they can tie around one another loop around this tail section, and then, of course, they will try and salvage this entire wreckage of the tail section. So these visuals being played out here on NDTV, you see another, the arm of the crane, the pulley of the crane, the hook, as I can see it going down as we speak. And while it's going down, the other section, the other hook of the crane number 1 has been put in place. It has been hooked to the belt, which has been put around the body of, or the belly of this tail section of that plane. As we speak, the operation will be repeated. This pulley, which is going down, will also be attached to another a similar structure, similar salvaging, in fact, belt, which will go around the tail section, and then attempt would be made to pick this up, the biggest section, which also has the landing gear hanging right underneath it.
Ankit, and that's as far as the debris clearing operation is concerned, but we're also learning that DNA sample testing has been fast-tracked. Essentially, for DNA sampling to be done for the amount of people, almost over 275 now, for that to be done, it would take months, but we're learning that it's been fast-tracked, and we're expecting that it would be completed in 3 days, so families can then take the mortal remains of their loved ones back home.
Well, as far as the DNA testing is concerned, and I'm sorry for our viewers if you see this on my head, it is absolutely hot, and standing under the sun makes it very, very difficult. So I'm trying to cover my head with this piece of cloth that I have. As you were talking about the DNA sampling, let me tell you, right from the word go, the administration at the civil hospital at the Kotaki Bhavan was able to, make a hall as the staging area for the DNA sampling. Now, it is a complicated process. It is not an easy process as far as the DNA sampling goes. And remember, it's a two-way process. One, where the people, those who are on board or relatives of those who are on the ground, they will give their sample. Immediate family members are supposed to give the sample. A brother, sister, mother, father, or a child can only do that. If that happens, then of course there will be an entire process on the other end from the mortal remains of those who passed away. DNA samples will be picked up from them as well. The focus of the doctors is, of course, the eyeballs, the hair, teeth, blood, and other such human remains. Then, of course, those will be matched. After the match is more than 95% accuracy, only then that body part or those remains will be given to the family members. Right from day one, when the DNA sampling started after this crash on Thursday, everybody who had come there was told that it will take 72 hours before they hear anything back from the authorities. So what happens now? Person number one, the unfortunate family member who has gone and given the DNA sample first, their 72 hours start from the time they had given the sample. Taking that in mind, I believe that by late tonight or tomorrow, there is likelihood of DNA samples of some of the people being matched and then mortal remains being released. Our heart goes out to those who have lost their life, not just the 241, those who were on board, but also about 34, those who have lost their life on ground, 10 of them from this, in fact, colleagues and students of this hospital and the hostel. Others, those who are on the ground, cooks, people, those who had a shop here, many are the victims. But their agonizing wait, first, of course, life turning on them in a flash, and then the agonizing wait for more than 72 hours to even know whether they are going to get anything for the cremation as far as their loved ones are concerned. It's a heartbreaking process, but that's how it is going to be.
Right, Ankit, I know there's scorching heat where you're reporting, but thank you for bringing us those details from the ground and continue tracking the updates for us as the story develops. We'll come back to you soon. As of now, we're expecting the press conference by the Civil Aviation Ministry. Remember, the Civil Aviation Ministry is holding a crucial meeting. In fact, the meeting is over. It was chaired by Mohan Naidu on the safety measures by the aircrafts and airline operators that have to be taken. Earlier as well, there was a decision that Dreamliners, especially the 787 line, would be crucially looked into, especially the Air India fleet. And now we're expecting a press briefing shortly. We'll of course continue tracking these details for you as they emerge.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct, News Night, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24/7.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage. Modi's multilateral momentum. NDTV live from the G7 summit in Canada.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV. If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India.
A very good afternoon. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Divya Vadva. We have a whole lot lined up for you, including the death toll that's gone up even further. 275 people have died in the plane crash that took place of the Air India flight in Ahmedabad. The latest is a body that has been found near this is the remaining part of the plane. The plane's tail that was intact, a body has been found from there, and taking the death toll to 275, including 241 who were on board that flight, including the crew members. We'll get you all the details. First, let's get you the headlines. In the Ahmedabad, the plane crash, the plane's tail is being shifted. That's the only intact part of the Air India 171 aircraft. One more body has been recovered from that portion, the tail portion. So the death toll now is coming in at 275 people who have lost their lives due to the crash. A high-level meet being chaired by the Civil Aviation Minister Mohan Naidu. This is the Ministry of the Civil Aviation to brief shortly in regard to the crash that took place and the kind of measures that the Civil Aviation Ministry is going to be taking in this regard. The black box has been recovered, and the key that it really holds to all the unanswered questions as to what really went wrong, what caused the plane to go down within half a minute of its takeoff. All those questions will be answered via the black box, but this could take weeks or even months depending on how intact the black box really is. And Israel and Iran trade missile attacks. Israel strikes Iran near its nuclear site. Iran retaliates. 3 people have been killed in Israel, while the top men, as far as the defense system is concerned, in Iran have been taken out, are the claims that are being made by Israel. 78 killed in Iran as Israel continues its assault on Iran. And it is the United States washing off its hands, saying that this was a unilateral action taken by Israel and it had nothing to do with the United States. However, Israel has gone on to say that they had to do this and it was an act of self-defense. Boeing whistleblower has spoken to NDTV talking about the safety lapses. Ed Pearson indicates the dangers of the manufacturing of the Boeing. That and a whole lot more coming up on the bulletin. Let's start with our top story.
And the latest as far as Ahmedabad crash is concerned, the debris is being cleared. The clearance is underway as far as that crash site is concerned. The tail portion, the only portion that has remained intact in this crash, the one that's perched on top of the building, that is being removed with the help of cranes. And that is the area where another body has been recovered. Let's just cut across to the Civil Aviation Ministry where a press conference is taking place.
Mohan, Naidu, sir.
So you're not audible.
Honorable Minister of Civil Aviation, Mohan Naidu sir, Honorable Minister of State for Civil Aviation, Muralidhar Mohan sir, Secretary Civil Aviation Ministry के अन्य अधिकारीगण और मेरे मीडिया के साथियों, आज हम 12 जुलाई को हुआ एक दुखद घटना के बारे में एक प्रेस ब्रीफिंग के लिए एकत्रित हुए हैं। मैं इस ब्रीफिंग को शुरू करने से पहले मैं चाहूँगा कि एक मिनट का मौन रखा जाए। इसके लिए आप सब खड़े हो। ओम शांति। As you all know, on 12th July, 12th June, Air India flight number 171, which took off from Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport, crashed soon after it. So, that tragic incident, we are here to give a small brief, and I request Secretary Minister of Civil Aviation to give a short opening remark.
ये विमान दुर्घटना एयर इंडिया so
is there a mic somewhere here?
You might have to be a little यहाँ पे परसों दिनांक 12 जून 2025 को लगभग 2 बजे के आसपास ये सूचना प्राप्त हुई कि अहमदाबाद से गैटविक लंदन के लिए जाने वाला विमान दुर्घटनाग्रस्त हो गया है। और इसकी विस्तृत जानकारी हमने एटीसी अहमदाबाद के जरिए ली तुरंत, जिसका विवरण मैं देना चाहूँगा आगे के 2 या 3 मिनट में। यह एक AIC 171 एक शेड्यूल्ड फ्लाइट थी अहमदाबाद से गैटविक के लिए, और इसमें कुल 242 लोग सवार थे, जिसमें 230 यात्री थे, 2 पायलट और 10 क्रू मेंबर्स थे। इस विमान ने दोपहर 1:39 पर टेक ऑफ किया था और कुछ ही सेकंड्स में लगभग 650 फीट की ऊंचाई पर पहुंचने के पश्चात ये सिंक करने लगा, अर्थात ऊंचाई खोने लगा था। 1:39 में पायलट ने ATC को, अहमदाबाद ATC को, उसने मे डे अर्थात फुल इमरजेंसी की सूचना दी थी। ATC के अनुसार जब उसने विमान से संपर्क करने की कोशिश की, उसका कोई उत्तर नहीं मिला। ठीक 1 मिनट के बाद यह विमान हमारे एयरपोर्ट से लगे मेघानी-नगर, जो हवाई अड्डे से लगभग 2 किलोमीटर की दूरी पर स्थित है, ये विमान दुर्घटनाग्रस्त हो गया था। विमान की कप्तान कैप्टन सुमित सबरवाल थे और प्रथम अधिकारी थे क्लाइव सुंदर। जहां तक विमान के पूरे इतिहास की बात है, विमान ने इस दुर्घटना से पहले पेरिस दिल्ली अहमदाबाद सेक्टर की उड़ान बिना किसी घटना के पूरी की थी। उसमें कोई रिपोर्ट नहीं थी। पेरिस से दिल्ली और दिल्ली से अहमदाबाद सेक्टर की उड़ान बिना किसी घटना के पूरी की थी और दुर्घटना के कारण रनवे को 2:30 बजे 2:30 में इसको बंद कर दिया गया और उसके बाद सारे प्रोटोकॉल को पूरा करने के बाद 5 बजे से सीमित उड़ानों के लिए अहमदाबाद का रनवे को फिर से शुरू किया गया। घटना 1:40 पे होती है। 3-3.5 घंटे के भीतर हमारे मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ सिविल एविएशन के सारी टीम, पूरी टीम, हमारे आदरणीय मंत्री जो सिविल एविएशन विजयवाड़ा में थे एक इंस्पेक्शन के लिए, वहाँ से डायरेक्टली मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट सिविल एविएशन जो यहाँ पे हम ऑफिस में थे, हम लोग कंट्रोल रूम पहुँचे और फिर 3-3.5 बजे के आसपास 5:30-6 बजे के आसपास हमारी पूरी की पूरी टीम जिसमें DGBS, DGCA और चेयरमैन एयरपोर्ट अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया, सीनियर ऑफिसर्स, मैं स्वयं, हम लोग सब लोग वहाँ पे उपस्थित थे, घटनास्थल पर उपस्थित थे। तुरंत एक हमारे यहाँ जो हमारा नियंत्रण कक्ष कंट्रोल रूम जो है 0112461 और 9650391859 उसकी स्थापना की गई और जिसमें DGCA, BCS ब्यूरो ऑफ सिविल एविएशन सिक्योरिटी, CISF और एयरपोर्ट अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया के इट्स अ कंबाइंड टीम विच स्टार्टेड फंक्शनिंग ऑलमोस्ट इमीडिएटली। और अहमदाबाद हवाई अड्डे का आपातकालीन नंबर और एयरलाइन का जो हेल्पलाइन नंबर था उसको भी हम लोगों ने सोशल मीडिया और PIB के जरिए उसको हमने सबके साथ साझा किया। गुजरात सरकार के जो विभिन्न विभाग हैं, पुलिस विभाग है, फायर ब्रिगेड, मेडिकल एंड हेल्थ सर्विसेज ने तुरंत राहत और बचाव कार्य शुरू कर दिया था। घायलों को अस्पताल शिफ्ट किया गया, वहाँ पे ऑफिसर्स लोग की तैनाती हुई, फायर ब्रिगेड ने वहाँ पे आग पर तुरंत काबू कर लिया था। कहीं कहीं से धुआं निकल रहा था, छोटी मोटी आग थी, लेकिन 6 बजे तक जब तक हम लोग वहाँ पे घटनास्थल पर पहुँचे मेघानीनगर में, अहमदाबाद में, तो आग पर करीब करीब पूरी तरीके से काबू कर लिया गया। तुरंत उसके बाद हमारा जो स्टैंडर्ड ऑपरेटिंग प्रोसीजर के अनुसार हमारा जो एयरक्राफ्ट एक्सीडेंट इन्वेस्टिगेशन ब्यूरो है ने उसी दिन विमान दुर्घटनाओं और घटनाओं की जांच नियम 2017 के तहत के अनुसार जांच शुरू कर दिया गया है और यह एक मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी टीम है और पूरा घटना स्थल को सुरक्षित कर लिया गया है। हमारा फ्लाइट डेटा रिकॉर्डर जिसको ब्लैक बॉक्स के नाम से भी जाना जाता है वो मिल गया है। इन्वेस्टिगेशन पूरी तरीके से स्मूथली चल रहा है। जहां तक AIB दुर्घटना के कारणों और तकनीकी पहलुओं पर जांच करेगा, एक और हाई लेवल कमेटी का गठन किया गया है जिसके बारे में सोशल मीडिया में भी हम लोगों ने इस तथ्य को साझा किया है। गृह सचिव की अध्यक्षता में इसमें केंद्र और राज्य सरकार के अधिकारी सम्मिलित हैं। यह कमेटी दुर्घटनाओं के कारणों के साथ साथ भविष्य में एविएशन से सेफ्टी और इसको कैसे एविएशन सेफ्टी को और सुदृढ़ और इसको कैसे मजबूत बनाया जा सके इसकी अनुशंसा करेगी। I stop here and I'll request Honorable Minister Civil Aviation to address the press.
Last 2 days have been very difficult, especially in the ministry and for everyone else. The accident that has happened near Ahmedabad airport shook the entire nation. And my deepest condolences to all the families who have lost their loved ones in the incident. I have also personally lost my father in a road accident. So to a certain extent, I can understand the pain and anguish that the family members are feeling. And in fact, it was a moment of shock right after we got to know about the incident. But even in that disbelief, I personally rushed to the site to oversee what needs to be done, what support needs to be provided. And that was the attitude of the government of Gujarat also. The attitude was the same from Government of India and the other people at the ministry also. And once we rushed to the site, we already saw, this was just within hours of the happening of the incident. So once I arrived at the site, the government of Gujarat already put in the necessary rescue teams, the response teams from all the concerned departments were working on ground actively, trying to rescue whatever is possible, trying to cut down the fire and to move the debris so that the bodies can be sent to the hospital at the earliest. And with the timely response, things were able to move much faster than as was expected after looking at how the crash has happened at the site. And from the ministry, taking utmost seriousness of the incident, the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, which was formed specifically to look into the accidents that happen around aircrafts, was immediately mobilized, and the Go team from the AIB, including 5 members constituting DG AIB, was also immediately rushed to the site to start the investigation process. And since day one, within hours itself, the AIB has started its process of investigation. And yesterday, they have added 2 more members to the investigation, one from the forensics team, one from the medical team. And they would be doing it in future also as necessary. Whichever expert is required, they will be adding them to the investigation. And one important update from the technical investigation, which is happening through the AIB, is the recovery of the black box yesterday around 5 p.m. from the site. The AIB team believes that this decoding of the black box is going to give a in-depth insight into what would have actually happened during the process of the crash or moments before the crash itself. So we are also eagerly waiting for what the results or the report is going to be once the AIB goes through its full investigation. And like I said, taking utmost seriousness of the incident and to further investigate into the incident and to look into all the theories or other information that is going around this incident, we felt it would be much better to have another committee also overlooking into this crash and also the safety. So yesterday I've announced it before only that we are going to form another high-level committee before. And immediately we have constituted the committee also yesterday under the chairmanship of Home Secretary. And like our initial thought, we wanted to have experts in the committee from various sectors and not less than any joint secretary level. So accordingly, we have constituted the committee. We have circulated the order also of the high-level committee which is going to investigate this crash. So like I said, the Home Secretary is going to be the chairman of the committee, Secretary Ministry of Civil Aviation, Additional Secretary from MHA, one representative from the state of Gujarat where the incident actually happened, representative from State Disaster Response Authority, Government of Gujarat, Police Commissioner Ahmedabad, DG Inspection and Safety from the Indian Air Force, DG BCAS, which is the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, DG DGCA, Special Director from IB, and Director from the Directorate of Forensic Sciences Services. So like you see, the composition of the high-level committee involves people from various backgrounds, and the people we feel who can bring in a lot of expertise and value to the committee, which is going to investigate in a holistic way into the incident. And we have put a time limit of 3 months for them to sit down, talk to various stakeholders, and involve and discuss with any other important expert that is necessary as per their investigation. And most of the issues that you feel there need to be answers, the committee is also going to strongly pursue these things and will come up with their report. And on top of that, I would also like to say that we have a very strict safety standards in the country also. And many, including the ICAO, many international organizations have also time and again established that. We do have a very strict protocol, robust protocol, which we follow every time. But even after, when the incident happened, we also felt that there is a need to do an extended surveillance into the Boeing 787 series. So from the DGCA, we have also given an order to do the extended surveillance for the 787 planes. There are 34 in our Indian aircraft fleet today. I believe that 8 have already been inspected, and with immediate urgency, all of them are going to be done. And furthermore, as the investigation is going to proceed and the report is going to come, whatever necessary steps are needed to be taken, we are going to ensure that without any hesitation, we are going to improve every necessary thing that is going to come our way to improve the safety. And like I said, we already have a very robust protocol which we continuously follow. What all is required in the future, whenever we have a very important update to give to the media, then we are going to present it to you also. I would request that media also support the investigation. We've also been very considerate of the event that has happened. And in fact, the personal stories of the people who have lost their lives, it's very heart-wrenching to see the individual stories. It's a very difficult time, but I'm sure with the support that the country is giving to the families, the moral support that we are all trying to provide to the families, at least it is going to help them a bit to come out of this difficult time. And we have instructed Air India also to facilitate in the process of assisting the families of the passengers in whatever way is required. The DNA testing is also happening on one side so that the bodies can be identified and be given to the respected families. So the government of Gujarat is coordinating with that. They have been there on the ground since the time of the crash, and they have been facilitating with all the efforts, all the measures that are required from their side. So once the DNA testing is confirmed, the bodies are being given to the respected families. And we are hoping that process also gets finished as soon as possible, but the documentation and the procedure needs to be followed. So according to the time that needs to be taken, we are ensuring that there doesn't be any lapse in the process or the protocol that needs to be followed. So currently we just felt that all the efforts that are being done, especially in the last 48 hours, we wanted to share with the media and through you to the country also. And I would like to reiterate that this was a very tragic incident, very horrific incident for everyone. And day one itself, you've seen that Honorable Home Minister also rushed to the site, the crash site, and then visited the hospital, interacted with the injured there, and also had a detailed review with the Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of Gujarat, and all the other authorities which were involved. And within 24 hours, Honorable Prime Minister also visited and rushed to the crash site, got a briefing on what and how it happened, and held a very detailed review, went into depth on what needs to be done, how the relief measures or rescue efforts needs to be continued, which has given good guidance to all the efforts that we have been putting from our side also. And with this seriousness only, we are going to conduct the investigation. Any information that is going around this crash, any theory that is going around this crash, everything will be analyzed. And the high-level committee is going to do its own investigation, which is going to be independent of all the other investigations that are going to happen. AIB is going to be the technical side of the investigation, which will be very, very much core to what we are trying to do in finding out what exactly happened. And the high-level committee is also going to meet very soon. On Monday itself, they are going to meet. And they are going to try to finish the process within 3 months to get a consolidated report on this investigation. So it is with these points that I would like to end my press briefing today. No questions. Appropriate time we'll answer the questions. I think we just wanted to give an update.
कुछ opposition के leaders
no questions. We will keep giving you all the information.
That was the Civil Aviation Minister Mohan Naidu, chairing that very high-level meeting. This is the first such a press briefing that's taken place since the disaster that struck in Ahmedabad, the crash that took place. And from the information that has been shared is that this happened close to 2 p.m. It was about 2 kilometers away from the airport in Ahmedabad, and that mayday call was received. However, there was no response when the authorities did try to get in touch with the pilot. And this is at a height of about 650 feet is when the plane started to descend, and those are the kind of details that have emerged, and also all kind of protocols are being followed. Also speaking about the flight that had come in from Paris via Delhi and then to Ahmedabad, saying there were no issues with the flight whatsoever, and how the DGCA, the CISF and the Air India officials rushed to the spot, worked together. The police, the fire brigade, they all swung into action in order to remove those victims to the hospital. The fire was put out by 6 p.m. All SOPs were started. As far as the investigation is concerned, that started as well from the very first day of the crash, and the black box has now been found and investigation is being carried out smoothly. The aviation safety protocols are now being scrutinized, and there is a surveillance as far as the last 2 days are concerned, calling it extremely traumatic and extremely tragic, also referring to how he can relate to the grief of the victims because he himself has lost his father to a road accident, is what the Civil Aviation Minister had to say, talking about how it took just barely seconds for the plane to lose control and to crash. Talking about how, this is the victims, as far as the DNA testing is concerned, that is being carried out at the government hospital in Ahmedabad. This also includes, when they're talking about the high-level meeting, the high-level committee that has now been constituted. This is going to investigate the crash, and a deadline of 3 months' time has been given in order to complete the investigation. The decoding, as far as the black box is concerned, the data is being decoded as we speak, and the recovery of the black box is extremely significant. They've ordered very strict safety protocols that is now being followed, and they've also ordered an extended surveillance of the Boeing 787 that will ensure that there's no lapse as far as safety protocols are concerned. DNA testing is taking place, and that will also be following. The protocol will be followed as far as DNA tests are concerned. Now, they have, the DGCA has given orders for that extended surveillance, and in order to ensure strict safety rules are followed. With that, we're slipping into a very short break. Back with a whole lot more. Stay with us.
Why was there a hurry? Was it the government that was in a hurry?
I don't want to blame anyone.
Joining us today here in the NDTV newsroom.
Government cannot walk away from this responsibility.
Cricket is region of sort in this country.
Would you like to comment on what happened?
What is the condition of the injured at this point? How many people died?
What exactly happened? You have lost your daughter.
In the wake of Pahalgam, all eyes on the Amarnath Yatra. Amidst fear, faith and fortitude. India's biggest fight against terror. NDTV reports on the holy route, the Amarnath spirit.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I
or
hold
CDSL
for the long term? Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools, and lead with impact. Starts July 13th. Enroll now and power your business.
Hello and welcome to this special show as we kick off the second season of NDTV India Health Mission. I'm Gargi Rawat. Over the years, NDTV has gone beyond daily news coverage to lead impactful campaigns that have driven awareness and tangible change in the health sector. इस कैंपेन ने देश में ऑर्गन डोनर्स की कमी को हाईलाइट किया और पूरे देश में चर्चा को बढ़ावा दिया, प्लेजेस को प्रोत्साहित करने और नीति को आकार देने में सफलता प्राप्त की। अब NDTV इंडिया हेल्थ मिशन के साथ इस कमिटमेंट को एक कदम और आगे बढ़ाने के लिए तैयार हैं। In its second season, the campaign aims to bring renewed focus to the country's most urgent health challenges, promote preventive care and foster collaborations across the public and private sectors. And by leveraging its trusted voice, NDTV continues to play a crucial role in shaping a blueprint for Health Vision 2047. We begin the NDTV India Health Mission Season 2 with a power-packed panel discussion. The topic for today is Health Vision for Viksit Bharat 2047, and we will be discussing the blueprint for the health vision needed for a Viksit Bharat. Our guests on the show today on this very, very important issue, we're joined by Dr. Ashutosh Raghuvanshi, MD and CEO, Fortis Healthcare, Dr. Puneet Mishra, Professor Community Medicine, AIIMS, Dr. Reggie George, founder, Tribal Health Initiative, and Dr. Amrish Mittal, chairman, endocrinology and diabetes, Max Healthcare. Thank you so much all for joining us on this very important issue, on this very important program. I'd like to start first with you, Dr. Raghuvanshi, if I can begin with you. And despite increased awareness, the uptake on preventive health, however, remains very low. How can we shift people's behavior from reactive to proactive? What role can Fortis play in this?
Yes, Gargi, you are right that there is nothing better than prevention, and prevention is going to become a part of people's lifestyle only with the awareness. So I think awareness is the most important thing. People are getting more aware about prevention than what they were before, but I think there is still a long way to go. For a country like us, I think preventive care has got not only a medical connotation, but it is also an economic imperative, because the cost of providing care and providing outcomes, especially in chronic diseases, etc., is very difficult. And the more prevention is done, the better are the outcomes and the better, healthier people would be. So in this front, we as a private organization have played a small part. We work on a lot of initiatives of awareness. However, we have also started certain screening programs which are community-based. The larger community needs are something which a private organization cannot fulfill, but we can definitely contribute. So we are doing some early screening of cervical cancer and breast cancers in some parts of Haryana. And we have also started doing some awareness programs in schools. As a part of our CSR initiative, we have started working with some of the rural schools where we are providing smart classrooms, etc., the toilets and drinking water facilities, etc. So we are taking that as a base to be able to teach students or inculcate, the good habits in terms of how they take care of their lifestyle. Because it is all about lifestyle. There are various levels of prevention. Of course, in chronic diseases, there is another paradigm where it is important to prevent complications, etc. Whereas at the same time, in general, it is important that the role of exercise and lifestyle, especially diet, smoking, cessation, control of weight and control of blood pressure, diabetes, etc. All these things are important. And if you inculcate these values in children, I think they take it home, they take it to their parents, and that's how it will be spreading. Right. And I think the role of media has been very good. NDTV has done fantastic work in past as well, and I'm sure they'll continue to do so.
Well, thank you so much for that. And an important point you made, that we have to start this young, inculcating these right habits, this kind of awareness. And I'd like to talk more about creating awareness, because even when there is awareness, we still see that behavior, however, of society doesn't change. Dr. Puneet Misra, to you, हमारे behavior में या society में कौन से बदलाव लाने की ज़रूरत है कि ताकि पहले से ही सेहत को लेकर हम alert रह सकें?
Thank you. It's a question which you have posed, that क्या changes लाने हैं अपने behavior में. बहुत wide सवाल है, क्योंकि India is a country which are dealing with communicable diseases as well as non-communicable diseases, and for different diseases you have to change behavior. Like for example, if we say for communicable diseases or infectious diseases, हमें हमारा खाना पीना कैसा है, हम ऐसी कौन सी चीज़ कर सकते हैं जिससे इन्फेक्शन नहीं हो, साफ़ पानी चाहिए, जिसके लिए भारत सरकार ने जो है मिशन चला रखा है जो कि स्वच्छ पानी मिल सके सारे लोगों को। उसके साथ ही साथ सैनिटेशन की इश्यूज आते हैं जिसके लिए अवेयरनेस है। और बहुत ज़रूरी चीज़ अभी जो है देखा जाए भारत में नॉन कम्युनिकेबल डिजीजेज बढ़ रही हैं, यानी कि वो बीमारियां जो कि इन्फेक्शन से नहीं होती हैं। दोज आर मेनली लाइफस्टाइल डिजीजेज लाइक डायबिटीज, लाइक हाइपरटेंशन, ओबेसिटी, and for that there are risk factors which are really important. And what happens that these risk factors should be, we should work on these risk factors early in the life. Like for example, if our lifestyle is not good, if our food is not good, if we are taking a lot of fat, then it is going to convert into disease after so many years. So what happens that people usually for the non-communicable disease, they don't feel that kind of risk that they do have. Suppose if somebody is not doing exercise, taking high calorie food, taking a lot of fat, so after a few years they might develop diseases like diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and others. So I think that is important. Let me give you one example of awareness how Government of India has worked, which is a successful example. If you remember that in 90s, it was said that India is going to be the capital of HIV/AIDS in the world, because at that time prevention was the only cure which was available. But with the effort of Government of India, NACO, now if you see the prevalence is less than 0.3% in the adults. So we have come long way. Prevention is something which is really important if you have to, deal with the diseases, especially non-communicable diseases where the risk factors, they start early in their life, and we have to do on that. Other thing is about the vaccination, which government is doing from the childhood for different diseases, which has prevented many communicable diseases in the country. So awareness generation is important part, and it is important for both communicable disease as well as non-communicable diseases.
Right, doctor, many important points you raised there, especially about diabetes. One hears from the medical community constantly how this is a big, ticking time bomb. Also, aapne baat ki vaccines ki, and I just have to be, thankful we don't have that culture of anti-vaxxers very prevalent in this country. So that's, something to be grateful for. But Dr. Raghuvanshi, back to you. Fortis ka bhavishya aur iska expansion India's Health Vision 2047 के साथ कैसे मेल खाता है?
So, जैसा कि प्रोफेसर मिश्रा ने कहा कि नॉन कम्युनिकेबल डिजीजेस का लोड बढ़ता जा रहा है, तो इट इज इम्पेरेटिव दैट facilities for such diseases are created. So we also, just like others, have been focusing on creating infrastructure, especially for cancer care, as the incidence of cancer is increasing and the early diagnosis is improving. And as a result of that, of course, the outcomes are also improving. But it requires high-tech care and requires a lot of high-end infrastructure as well. So we have been building that infrastructure. But more than that, I think on the preventive side, we are also working on one of the things which Professor Mishra mentioned is the vaccination. Adult vaccination is one thing which in the country has not been that popular. And we are putting up vaccination clinics in various hospitals and outside of the hospitals as well in the community. And those are some of the initiatives. Other than that, one aspect of health which is quite ignored at times is mental health. So that is another area on which Fortis is working very seriously. We are creating the entire spectrum of services, which includes an online counseling service, which is sort of anonymized and people feel comfortable using it. So that we are developing along with some of our partners. And also we are developing inpatient services and other services on the mental health front. So these are some of the areas. Ironically, what I have seen is that the classical healthcare industry in India talks only about sick care and not really about health. So I think that paradigm needs to change. And for that, we are focusing a lot on the preventive health checks, etc. as well. So we are thinking of putting up some of the standalone preventive health centers as well.
All right, very important points there. And yes, that old adage, prevention is better than cure, definitely is something that we need to emphasize more in this country. Dr. Reggie George, given your experience, what policy level interventions are required to ensure that rural and underserved areas benefit equally from these preventive health programs?
Okay. See, what I think is at the planning level itself, we are planning at the national level. And planning at the national level is like one size fits all. And that is a big problem because when you are planning for Gurgaon and you expect it to work in a remote village in Jharkhand, it doesn't work. So the whole the outlook towards planning has to be decentralized, which means we have to have not even state level planning, we have to have district or taluk level planning, because unless you understand the local needs and the local problems, you will not be able to find local solutions. And this is one of the main things which affects our health system. Our planning is completely skewed because, and the second thing is our planning is when you're planning for health, you never involve other departments. For example, roads or food. Or economists. When you do health planning, you have experts in health sitting and thrashing out things, and not taking into account the other social determinants of health, like jobs or roads or water and sanitation. And this also has to be done at the local level. So this is one of the biggest flaws. No doubt we have made huge improvements, because I've been working in rural and tribal populations for more than 50 years. So I know that there is a huge change. But I think the change can be much faster if planning is at a local level. And I'm not sure whether the center or the state wants to give it up, but that is the biggest, I think, thing to be changed.
Okay, very important points you made there, Dr. Reggie George, especially given your experience in these areas and taking from there maybe something that Fortis and Max too can think about. Dr. Ambrish Mittal, I'd like to come to you now about how to encourage this preventive health care and create more awareness about it, and also at the same time, how do we incentivize doctors and medical staff to work in underserved rural areas? This has always been a big challenge.
Yes, thank you, Gargi, for having me here. First, we need to understand the basic genesis of chronic non-communicable disease. And if you have to choose one factor, that is excess body weight. Excess body weight is what drives diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, strokes, and even some types of cancer, all kinds of arthritis. So as a society, our focus has to be on avoiding excess body weight. I need to explain that a little bit. It's not just excess body weight, it's also the way it is distributed. In India, for example, people may not be overtly obese, but they may still be having excess abdominal fat. Within India, as has already been emphasized, there is a whole lot of difference between different areas, geographical regions, within the same city. A very striking recent study in Delhi schools done by the AIMS actually showed that the prevalence of overweight in Delhi schools was about 13% overall, but it was 5 times greater in private schools as compared to government schools, 5 times greater overweight. Okay. Similarly, when you talk of undernutrition was 5 times more common in government schools as compared to private schools. So India is dealing with both together. Optimum nutrition and one size will not fit all, even within the same geographical region. So we need to have optimum nutrition. That is the public health way to deal with it. And it doesn't start in childhood. It starts earlier. It starts during pregnancy. It's been very clearly shown in studies from Pune that if the mother is either malnourished or obese, both ways the child will be more susceptible to diabetes and hypertension and heart disease later on in life. So I think these are the important things. So we need to spread awareness, as everyone is saying, no question, but awareness has to be at different levels. It's not that we can't transfer the responsibility to the individual per se alone. Individual, of course, has to be made aware about what is healthy, what to eat, what not to eat, what lifestyle measures to take. But also there has to be change within the family. We see patients who come in where everyone is overweight or obese, and they only sort of, everyone's focusing on the patient, the one who's got diabetes and hypertension, not realizing that he's also eating the same food or she's also eating the same food as the rest of them. So individual, family.
Right.
Society is very important. Communities within, RWAs and other communities have to emphasize. We have in Delhi, for example, we have gyms in most parks, but I think they are grossly underutilized. Government installed gyms. All facilities are there. A lot of facilities are there. We can't say that we don't have access, at least in some parts of India, right? And then you go further. It also has to stretch to authorities. So we have to make sure that when we say don't have unhealthy food to school children, what options do they have in school? Do they have healthy food options in school? So if we don't provide healthy food options, how will children or youngsters go for healthy food? Right. So we can only remove the unhealthy food when we have healthy food options. And two more points here I'll make before I hand it back to you. What is important is that healthy food options should be cheaper than fast food or junk food. Healthy food options have to be cheaper, more accessible, more widely available. That is really, really important, but that doesn't happen all the time. Availability as well as cost. Cost is a big determinant of what people eat. And second, of course, is that we can tax things in a greater way, right. Things we know are clearly healthy.
Right. Sorry, Dr. Nitin, for interrupting you. We're running out of time and lots of topics to also cover in this program. But yes, important points. You didn't talk about how we can encourage doctors to work in rural areas, but we'll talk more about that. Time for us to slip into a short break. It's a very important issue that we're discussing, preventive healthcare. We're also going to talk about technology coming up after this short break.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
Often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered, where every debate finds its resolution, where every story finds its conclusion, where opinions collide but facts prevail, where stories unfold with insights and trust. When the noise ends, the last word begins.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru. Only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years. I bring
in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि एनडीए सरकार में हम अगले 10 साल में विकसित भारत के सपने को साकार करके रहेंगे। अटल से तो विकसित भारत की तस्वीर है। प्रेरणा और प्रगति जब एक साथ जुड़ते हैं,
Welcome back to our special show on the India Health Mission, and we're talking about urgent steps that need to be taken for a healthy India. Well, let's go back to our guests, and now we want to talk a bit about technology. Dr. Raghuvanshi, and I'd like to pose this question to you. If you could tell us, how are new technologies helping in health innovations to make it more accessible?
Yes. I think there are two Indias, as pointed out by everybody, and the regional differences and accessibility of geography, accessibility on the economic level, and there are multiple barriers to access. So definitely technology can bridge some of those gaps, not entirely, but to a large extent. Especially the primary care can be delivered remotely especially in inaccessible areas. And there, I think the role of eSanjeevani, the government's initiative, I think can become a very, very important delivery tool. But other than that, I think technology has multiple roles to play. One of the things which I personally feel is that in the healthcare ecosystem of a country like India, we cannot afford any wastages. And until the entire ecosystem is integrated in a manner that, the patient has investigation once, then they go for further treatment, etc. All those longitudinal records, if they are available, so which is part of the National Digital Health Mission to create these ABHA IDs and have all the records being accessible to the patient at one click. So these are few initiatives which I think are going to transform the way the care continuum is provided, and that will remove the wastages from the system. So these are two initiatives which come on top of my mind, but there are many, many other technology-related areas which are going to improve the way the healthcare is delivered, especially the decision support systems, artificial intelligence-related areas in diagnostic, for example. All these things are going to make a major difference in how care is made more accessible.
Well, I'd like to get Dr. Reggie George back here. And given your experience, sir, what role do private and public-private partnerships do you think play in bridging this healthcare divide between states and regions?
Okay. I'm also just continuing from what was spoken earlier.
Yes.
See, what is happening is our tertiary healthcare system is excellent, is world-renowned. And there are a lot of private players, but there are also government players. Government players not to such an extent. Our primary health care system over the years has developed really well, even in the most remote areas. Now, the huge gap is the secondary care system. For example, if a person has to have a very simple surgery, for example, a hernia removal or a uterus removal, a hernia surgery or a uterus removal or an appendix, this comes into the secondary care slots. Now, the secondary care slots is not funded by the government. The Prime Minister's schemes don't cover it. The Chief Minister's schemes don't cover it. And the taluk hospitals, which are supposed to deal with this, or the bigger PHCs, which are supposed to deal with this, have no way of dealing with this because either the surgeons are not there or the anesthetists are not there. And this space is taken up by private hospitals all over India. And I feel that is a big gap because a lot of patients, it's not like people accessing tertiary care, where the numbers are small. The persons accessing secondary care is a huge number. And there are only private players there. The government has not yet got into planning for secondary care.
All right. I'm so sorry, Doctor. We're completely out of time here. But these are conversations and discussions that we are going to continue to have on this campaign, NDTV India Health Mission. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you all for watching at home. As we said, we're going to continue having these very, very important conversations. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Gensol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have two credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Junkie brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course, but a lavish flat in Gurgaon's luxurious DLF Carmelias.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. Newsnight, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24/7.
After 2 years of the India calendar,
Hello ladies and gentlemen, you're watching NDTV. Civil Aviation Minister Mohan Naidu, in his first media briefing after the Air India flight crash in Ahmedabad, has said that the black box data from the Air India aircraft that crashed is being decoded, while multiple agencies and high-level panels are conducting an extensive examination of what really the flight went through. Also, he said that there have been strengthened security protocols that have been put in place. We will discuss all that and more, but first up, the headlines. A high-level team led by Home Secretary to probe the crash. 3 months deadline set for this probe team. Minister Mohan Naidu says black box has been recovered and that will provide in-depth insight. Boeing 787 under lens now, and this is after the plane crash. Government has ordered extended surveillance of Boeing 787 planes. My colleagues Ankit and Aishwarya reporting from ground there. Plane's tail has been shifted, only intact part of Air India 171. One more body recovered from the tail portion. Boeing whistleblower speaks exclusively to NDTV, says indication of dangerous manufacturing. Meanwhile, Israel and Iran have traded missile attacks. Iran has retaliated, 3 killed in Israel, 78 killed in Iran as Israel continues assault. Well, debris clearance is underway in Ahmedabad at the Air India plane crash site. This is where the plane collapsed. The tail portion is being removed with the help of cranes. Another body has also been recovered from the tail portion. The death toll now stands at 275, including the medical college students and doctors who lost their lives at the time of the crash. As DNA matching efforts continue, remember the sampling and testing efforts are underway at hospitals in Gandhinagar and Ahmedabad. The probe team has also arrived at the collapse site to investigate the crash. We've been bringing you visuals and voices from the crash site. The plane's debris, remember, was strewn all over the medical college hostels complex. In fact, the tail was lodged on the ceiling of the mess and one of the tires was also stuck in a ward. The tail is the only intact piece of the aircraft and is extremely critical for the evidence for investigation. My colleague Ankit joins us with more details on this. Ankit, if you're there, help us understand what really is happening today and which are the teams that are working on removing the debris, and also what is going on with respect to ensuring that the tail portion is picked up and shifted. Okay, these are the live shots there. We are trying to get you, Ankit, in just a bit. The live shots of what is happening at the debris site. This is the collapse site. Remember that when the plane crashed at BJ Medical College and Hostel, this was the mess part of the hostel where the plane crashed, and the plane's debris were strewn all across the hostel complex. The tail was lodged on the ceiling of the mess, and it was this portion of the flight that had actually brought in a lot of injuries and also led to deaths, and it also led to an explosion. Students present in the hostel complex at that time, at the time of the crash, and all the rescuers, the first responders who had come in, who had reached the spot then, had said that the plane had hit the mess tail first, and this is the part of the flight that is the only one that is intact. Extremely crucial for investigation that is to follow. Remember, the AAIB, the Aircraft Accidents Investigation Bureau, has already summoned an investigation. The investigation has been expedited. In fact, the Minister for Civil Aviation also spoke about it today, saying that a 3-month probe is going to take place to find out what really happened. There are other committees also that are working in parallel to understand what happened. This is a multi-ministry, multi-country probe that has been put in place. Also, security protocols have also been strengthened. Ankit, over to you. Tell us what can you see around you and what can we expect next?
All right, at this moment, what you see behind me is the tail section being taken down of this aircraft, which you are seeing. India 171, the biggest intact aircraft section, the tail section, which all the black box has been taken down. Speak this, ladies and gentlemen, and for the last couple of days, become the very dramatic, unfortunate, horrible symbol of this tragedy. And at this moment, what you are seeing is the entire tail section being. 2 cranes since yesterday were in fact put in at this very place, and once this entire thing was secured. The entire tail section has been brought down. This was, as I've been saying, the biggest intact section of Air India 171, and for the last couple of days, this was the focus of investigation. This was the focus for the authorities to recover the black box on the rooftop of this first floor, where it initially perched, where it initially, in fact, went into the building, the JK Medical College mess and hostel. It has been precariously hanging since then. The landing gear was also, in fact, under this tail section. And since the last couple of days, a lot of teams of the investigators have been focusing on this area. Unfortunately, today, some more human remains were recovered from this very tail section by the NDRF and the other agencies. But just a moment ago, the entire tail section of this aircraft, which has sadly, unfortunately, and in a very horrible way, had become the reminder or the symbol of this one of the worst tragedies, air tragedies that India has ever seen. This tail section, the one which was intact, has now been brought down. This is the latest that we are bringing to you here on NDTV. Continuously for the last few hours, operations were on to secure it, and once these cranes came into being, both these the cranes, first they secured this entire thing, and of course then went across to bring it down. With Sudesh Ankityagi, NDTV.
Well, those visuals there, the live visuals there of the tail portion being lifted, and it's going to be shifted for examination, and this is the only intact part of the aircraft, and it's going to be studied. That's what Mohan Naidu, the Civil Aviation Minister, also talked about today. Joins us now. He's live with us. Okay, we're trying to connect to Ankit in just a bit. Just to give you some context, this is a very crucial part of investigation. It's an evidence that will be examined very, very closely as part of the investigation that is underway. Remember, there's an investigation that the AAIB has already initiated. The minister has said that a report will be submitted as soon as possible. Now, students present in the hostel complex at the time of the crash and rescuers, the first responders, had actually said the plane had hit tail first on the mess of the hostel, and a part of the ceiling and the walls of the hostel had collapsed. Several people had been injured. It had also led to deaths in the hostel. This is BJ Medical College and Hostel that we are talking about. These were medical undergraduate students that basically lost lives. In fact, the mess also caught fire, and what we understand is that a cook's family was also amongst the victims. The plane's belly, its flap and wings had broken off, and some part of the plane had also hit another floor of the residential quarters within the hostel complex. A massive fire had broken out, and there have been deaths that have been recorded from the college, from the hostel, mostly of undergraduate medical students and also people who worked in the hostels. Just to give you some context, debris clearance is underway in Ahmedabad at the Air India plane crash site. What you can see is the tail portion of the aircraft that collapsed, that is now being removed with the help of cranes. This work has been going on since morning today, and like my colleague Ankit was also reporting, that there was a search for human remains first, and after that, of course, this part of the aircraft is going to be taken for examination. This is a crucial part of investigation now, because this is the only part of the aircraft that collapsed that is intact. Right. So you can see the visuals there. Moving on to other stories now, Civil Aviation Minister Mohan Naidu, in his first media briefing after the Air India flight crash in Ahmedabad, said that the black box data from the aircraft is being decoded now. It's being examined, with multiple agencies and high-level committees also conducting an extensive probe into what really happened. The black box data is very crucial. It's expected to provide critical information about the cause of the crash. We will get to know what really went wrong once the black box data gets decoded. The ministry is taking this incident with utmost seriousness. The Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau was immediately mobilized. The DGAAIB immediately rushed to the spot. One update from the technical investigation team, which is happening through AAIB, is the recovery of the black box from the accident site at around 5 p.m. yesterday. That's what the minister said today. In fact, he had shared on X a post that said that the black box was retrieved within 28 hours. We are taking the Ahmedabad plane crash incident with utmost seriousness. That's what the minister said today in his first media briefing after the collapse. There will also be another high-level committee over AIB to investigate the crash. Let's first listen in to what the minister said today.
We are going to form another high-level committee before. And immediately we have constituted the committee also yesterday, under the chairmanship of Home Secretary. And like our initial thought, we wanted to have experts in the committee from various sectors and not less than any joint secretary level. So accordingly, we have constituted the committee. We have circulated the order also of the high-level committee which is going to investigate this crash. So like I said, the Home Secretary is going to be the chairman of the committee, Secretary Ministry of Civil Aviation, Additional Secretary from MHA, one representative from the state of Gujarat where the incident actually happened, representative from State Disaster Response Authority, Government of Gujarat, Police Commissioner Ahmedabad, DG Inspection and Safety from the Indian Air Force, DG BCAS, which is the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, DG DGCA, Special Director from IB, and Director from the Directorate of Forensic Sciences Services. So like you see, the composition of the high-level committee involves people from various backgrounds, and the people we feel who can bring in a lot of expertise and value to the committee which is going to investigate in a holistic way into the incident. And we have put a time limit of 3 months for them to sit down, talk to various stakeholders, and involve and discuss with any other important expert that is necessary as per their investigation.
Tyagi joins us now. Ankit, you got some very critical visuals for us on the tail portion of the aircraft being lifted and, of course, taken for examination. Explain to us in the context of investigation, the ongoing investigation, why is this very important?
Vasudha, let me first apologize for my get-up right now. As I said, it is extremely hot, and standing under the sun without any shade takes its own toll. But let me very quickly, as you rightly pointed out, we few minutes back, that was the symbol. And now all that is left of that air crash is damaged rooftop that you will see with one door of the aircraft still hanging on there. The biggest section of the aircraft, the tail aircraft, was pulled down a while back. In the last 2 days, this has been the area of focus, not to try and see and try and determine, the cause. Also to try and find the black box found yesterday evening. All this put together to be very, very crucial for going forward for this investigation. Now, how does this help? This is the section when the plane, and in that 52-second unfortunate video that you see, while the pilot was trying to, in fact, keep the nose up, the tail end of the plane was down, and the hit this tree, and then lodged itself, the tail end of that plane lodged itself on the first floor of that mess that we are showing to you at this moment. So that tells you exactly on the angles and the trajectory in the last very seconds of this plane. The entire tail section was lodged there. Rest of the plane, and remember, it's a jumbo jet. It is a huge plane. Most of you who are to the airport and stand next to this plane, all of us seem like because it's a huge plane. The and the entire body was splattered around 600 meters from this very tail end, and it burnt. It turned into a flame, absolute inferno with very high temperatures, and of course those who were inside were unfortunately killed. 241 there and about 30. Now, all these pieces, there is another engine near buildings which have been charred of the 4 buildings in front. This tail end plus the other few pieces of this aircraft which still have, which air will help the air investigators to put the physical, action as far as this aircraft is concerned. The damage that this aircraft took, at what angle did the tail, in fact, hit this building, and where it broke, and so forth. So those are the important things wreckage is going to tell, and the testimony, as I said, horribly so, unfortunately, was I-171, which now has been taken down from there, still hanging on that crane. It see the orange painted portion behind those trees still hanging, and then it will be lowered down from here as the other wreckage, the debris is being cleared from this section by section to be preserved, to be held in the investigation.
Right. Ankit, also help us understand by when do you think that this work could be complete? Because clearly the government and the authorities seem to be working towards ensuring that at least families don't have to go through a lot of hassle. So there's a lot of focus on getting those human remains, getting that DNA sampling testing done. And of course, there's a lot of focus on investigation. Help us understand by when do you think all of this would actually, give us a sense of something concrete coming out?
You heard this, will take 3 months. I suppose that the investigation part, things which will be taken from here, which will help the investigation, we will know maybe preliminary this in few weeks, but overall it will take 3 months. As far as the DNA sampling is concerned, what a horrible way for a lot of people to unite from all across the country by virtue of this air crash. Two passengers coming from different parts of the country. All from the years now, this will be something that will unite them, but something that will unite them in the happen. The first came for the DNA testing. From the time they have given the sample, 22 hours till then is what they have been told that they will hear. Department. What is happening? One part is the family members, those who and given their samples. Remember, there are still about 30 to 40 or even more family members, those affected, some flying in from abroad. Their samples before the entire. Now, once have been taken, same process is being, the DNA sampling is made on the bodies and the remote. Once those samples are also picked up, then both of them, whoever matches more than 95% accuracy to the living being, they would be given those remains, and that is how the entire process will roll on. So for the first person who gave the sample, they wait for 72 hours. I on Sunday, that is tomorrow, family giving the bodies of their loved ones.
Right. Thank you, Ankit, and please do take care. It's very hot there, and we'll keep coming back to you for more details on the story. Himanshu also joins us with more details on this. Himanshu, you were at that very important press conference that Mohan Naidu, the Civil Aviation Minister, addressed. A high-level team probing this crash incident will submit a report within 3 months, is what he has said. He's also talked about surveillance of all flights that come under the 787 fleet, and also he's talked about strengthening security protocols. Can you help us understand the big takeaways from what the Civil Aviation Minister said today?
Well, the Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu actually has made 3-4 very important announcements. First, the high-level multidisciplinary committee headed by the Home Secretary of India will hold its first meeting on Monday. That essentially means that the process of unraveling what happened actually will start officially on Monday, when the Home Secretary will chair the first meeting of the multidisciplinary committee, which has been set up. And I'll just read out the terms of reference of the committee. The committee has been told to examine the causes leading to the crash of Air India 171 aircraft. And the minister said that the committee will ascertain the root cause of the crash, whether there was a mechanical error, human error, or weather conditions, or there were other factors. Second, the committee has also mandated to look into the standard operating procedures and guidelines that exist in the country today to prevent and handle such occurrences in future. So I think the process, Home Secretary will start the process of examining whatever the causes behind this. And the second, the minister has also announced that the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, which is the primary agency of Ministry of Civil Aviation to investigate air crashes, the senior officials are already on the ground and they will be examining the technical side of this accident as to what actually caused this accident. The officials already are on the ground, and as you have been also mentioning, the deadline given to the Home Secretary-led committee is 3 months. That essentially means by the second week of September, Vasudha, the Home Ministry-led committee has to submit its report. The minister has also said that we have the black box that was recovered at around 5 p.m. yesterday holds the key to the investigation, because it will have all the video and audio data as to what actually happened in the last moments in the aircraft, a point that experts also have said very, very prominently, that the entire investigation, the black box, the data that is recorded there, the video and audio data, that holds the key to giving a direction to the investigation as to what actually led to this crash. So I think a very important briefing by the government on what actually it plans to do. At the moment, investigation has been launched at 2 levels. As I said, Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau is examining and investigating the technical side. The Home Secretary-led high-level multidisciplinary committee has been set up to look into all the theories that are circulating as to what could have caused this crash, including whether there was a mechanical error, human error, weather condition, or any other factor.
Right, and Manchu, also help us understand when the minister says that the DGCA has given orders for extended surveillance of Boeing 787 planes, and the fact that he says that we are going to improve safety to the best way possible. How do we read this? What kind of message is he trying to give out?
That's right. See, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, the order that has been issued, essentially says that there are 29 aircrafts now in the Air India's fleet, Boeing 787 Dreamliner, and it has been decided now that before allowing them to fly after 15 June, there were certain 6-7 I would say there are mandatory checks that have now been made mandatory for Air India. And the inspections will be actually at different levels to look at the technical aspects and readiness of the aircraft to fly. There are 6 different clauses that will be checked. Of course, it will lead to some kind of delay because DGCA and other agencies will be deploying their officials to carry out these mandatory checks on the Boeing 787 Dreamliner aircraft that Air India has. And it's only after these mandatory checks and inspections are completed and a clearance is given that the Boeing 787 Dreamliner aircrafts of Air India will be allowed to fly after 15 June. In fact, I've been asking experts as to why this deadline was fixed on 15 June and why immediately such mandatory checks and inspections have not been ordered. So I've been told that because the number of aircraft is 29, so you need a large team of officials actually to go to different parts of the country to do these mandatory inspections and checks. But of course, formally, the DGCA order says that from 15 June onwards, Air India's Boeing 787 Dreamliner aircraft will be allowed to fly out of India only after the mandatory checks and inspections are completed by the officials.
Right. Thank you, Manchu, for joining us with those details. Very important takeaways from what Ram Mohan Naidu, the Civil Aviation Minister, said today, that there will be another high-level committee over AIB that will be investigating the crash that happened in Ahmedabad. on, in fact, day before yesterday on the 12th of June. A high-level committee will be looking into this crash. In fact, it will be headed by the Home Secretary, and a 3-month deadline has been set for the probe team to finish the investigation. He has also talked about safety standards, and he has said that safety protocols will also be strengthened across the aviation sector. With that, it's time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
High-level team led by Home Secretary to investigate the crash. 3 months deadline set for the high-level probe team. Boeing 787 is under lens now after the AI plane crash. Government has ordered extended surveillance of all 787 planes. Ahmedabad plane crash, plane's tail is being shifted now. It's the only intact part of Air India 171. Boeing whistleblower speaks exclusively to NDTV. He says that there are indications of dangerous manufacturing.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV. If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
Why was there a hurry? Was it the government that was in a hurry?
I don't want to blame anyone.
Joining us today here in the NDTV newsroom.
Government cannot walk away from this responsibility.
Cricket is region of sort in this country.
Would you like to comment on what happened?
What is the condition of the injured at this point? How many people died?
What exactly happened? You have lost your daughter.
In the wake of Pahalgam, all eyes on the Amarnath Yatra. Amidst fear, faith and fortitude.
Viewers, another deadly night in the Middle East as missiles rained from the skies over Tel Aviv, Jerusalem and Tehran. Early Saturday morning, Israeli warplanes roared into the skies, launching counter-strikes after a new barrage of Iranian missiles lit up the night. Sirens wailed as explosions echoed across Tel Aviv. Iran launched another wave of missiles in response to a stunning Israeli assault on Iranian nuclear and military core. On your screens, in the aftermath of a missile slamming into central Israel, are two latest updates coming in, which killed 2 people, injured 19 and destroyed 4 homes. Israel's emergency services can also be seen scrambling as families flee for shelter. Meanwhile, Iranian state TV broadcast the purported moment a shockwave rocked Tel Aviv, claiming it was retaliation for Israel's Friday attacks that killed 78 Iranians, including top generals and top nuclear scientists. Let's try and get you that map on your screens right now, which was shared by the Israeli Defense Forces a short while ago, that revealed the massive scale of the Iranian retaliation. If you have, let's put that out. And behind the enemy lines in Iran, Israeli forces have claimed and released that footage that claimed it shows their assets striking Iran's surface-to-surface missile launchers. Iran now vows a crushing response. Its IRG, Iranian Revolutionary Guards, signaling more strikes are coming. The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, warned that more is on the way. The Defense Minister called Iran's strikes on civilian areas a red line that's been crossed. And in fact, now, just minutes before we started this broadcast, a fresh update has been given by the Israeli Defense Minister, who said that Tehran will burn if Iran comes out with any more missile strikes. Now, talks between US and Iran are now pretty much in limbo. Casualties are mounting, and the world is watching, fearing that this could potentially spiral into a full-scale regional war. And this is what we are going to now decode over the course of the next 30 minutes or so in this broadcast, covering every angle, every aspect of this story. But first up, I want to get a voice from Iran. That is Mohammad Khatibi, who's joining me on the show to tell us which way this is likely to go. While 36 hours, Mohammad, have passed since this entire thing started, since this escalation started. Talk to us about what is now the next step that Tehran is looking to do. Is it looking to escalate this further?
Iran did not start this, and it was Israel that passed all the red lines by targeting Iranian military officials, nuclear scientists, and many civilians have been killed in these attacks. And people here now in Iran are urging the government to give a firm response to Israeli attacks. And before this happened, Iranians were preparing to show up on Sunday on negotiating table, but this right now is continuing, and people see no reason for showing up in Oman, and they are asking the government to respond firmly to Israeli attacks. However, there is a good chance if Israel stops, people in Iran as a peace-loving nation will stop attacking Israel, because we didn't start this and we didn't want a war.
I want to first also get in another word from Mohammad Khatibi, who is with us from Tehran, and then I'm going to get to the gentlemen who are joining us on the broadcast to talk more about this in detail. A lot of this is to do with the fact that there was these talks, the nuclear talks that were going on between US and Iran did not make any progress whatsoever, which is why Israel felt that it had to respond, because some of the reports suggested that Iranian nuclear pile was very close, in fact, to being able to make a weapons-grade enrichment and very close to actually having the bomb. Before I get to you, gentlemen, I want to get that word in from Mohammad Khatibi to tell us what is the thinking right now in terms of the Trump administration. All right, let's get in the guests first, and then we also get in Vishal to talk to us about what is the kind of retaliation that one really saw, because at the end of the day, this is what the conversation should focus on, that the potential retaliation that will come in, how will Israel handle it, and if it does, what is the next course of action likely, and will that escalate into another chain reaction? But Dr. John Harrison and Dr. James Dorsey with me on the broadcast right now. Let me get in their first reaction, and then I get in Vishal to talk about the kind of weapons that and drones that Iran used and how successful was Israel in thwarting that. Dr. Harrison, your first thoughts on how this is likely to pan out going forward. More strikes are likely to come in. That's what both sides have vowed. As the day begins there's a fresh alert that has been given, a warning that has been given by Israel, saying that if more strikes come their way, then Tehran will burn. Clearly, no side is willing to now back down out of this.
At the moment, no, it doesn't appear to be that either side is willing to try to de-escalate. There's reasons that both sides would not want to at this point. It doesn't appear, at least, the first response from Iran was very effective. I believe the reporting is now one person was killed and somewhere getting close to 60 were injured. We shouldn't use the loss of life as whether or not an operation is effective or not. But it does appear that, at least for the first volley, that Iran was unable to launch a major strike. It doesn't mean they can't, but it means, at least at the initial stages, that the Israeli defenses have been able to absorb most of those blows. But again, you shouldn't read too much into that, because it's not clear whether Iran has the capability at the moment to be able to strike at the level that they would like to, or it's just that they weren't able to organize as quickly as they would have liked, because the Israelis did obviously engage in a decapitation strategy. And there have been some other things that may have been able to successfully blunt any first strike. Certainly, neither side seems to want a wider regional war. But right now, the only tools Iran has to be able to respond to this would be their own missiles and drones that we've seen last night and we'll probably see for the next couple of days. And also, the only real effective proxy they have left is the Houthis. And there have been some reporting that the Houthis may have begun firing at least a small amount of missiles towards southern Israel. That remains unconfirmed, but it would seem to be the most logical approach for what assets Iran has left.
See, I want to ask you this. There's been a lot of commentary that's coming in from the Trump administration as well. Within 12 hours, first, the Trump administration, in fact, Donald Trump himself said that this attack should not be done by Israel. Then he followed that up by saying that these are excellent attacks. He also made comments saying that 60 days is the time frame that Iran had, following which there will be nothing left to protect. Those were the kind of tweets that came out, the messaging that came out from the Trump administration. Given the fact that US is playing a very central and pivotal role as to ensuring that this remains contained, this doesn't escalate further, how do you see this is likely to pan out? Dr. Dorsey.
I think basically, let me come back to your first question, if I may, because I think I differ a little bit with Dr. Harrison. Iran has essentially three options, given the fact that it has no effective air force, it has no real navy, and it has no land border with Israel. So missiles and drones are its first line of attack, if you wish. Iran has one of the, if not the largest, arsenal of missiles in the Middle East. How many are left after Israeli strikes, we don't know, but nonetheless, they've demonstrated the capability to use them. So that's going to be one line of attack, and I don't think that the warning by the Israelis of burning Tehran is going to dissuade the Iranians from using their missiles and drones. Their second line of attack, and we don't know how that's going to work out, is targeting U.S. facilities and bases in the region. Again, we haven't seen that happen. The Iranians have suggested that that is an option. And then it will depend on where and when and how they attack, what impact that would have, and whether or not that would force the drag the United States into the conflict. And the third line of attack are indeed what's left of Iran's non-state allies. But we've seen attacks by the Houthis repeatedly on Israel, and those are at best pinpricks.
If there's an attack on American forces or American assets, it would most certainly force America's hand, because then it will have to react. There is there's the 5th Fleet in Bahrain. There is a large Air Force presence in Qatar. Add to it the ground forces in Iraq and Syria and several other assets that America has. If any of that is attacked, quite naturally, Trump administration will have to take that hard call that it will have to get involved in this in some format or the other. John Harrison, is that something that Iran is prepared for? Because I'm sure they would have done all scenarios here at this stage.
Correct. It seems highly unlikely that Iran would want to attack U.S. installations in other members of the Arabian Gulf. It is unlikely that Iran would want to widen the war. They're getting a lot of potential benefits from opening up economically. trying to downgrade tensions in the region. Certainly, they may. There are a number of things you could speculate on what they might want to do with the Straits of Hormuz in that, but I think it's highly unlikely that Iran would directly assault U.S. bases, because there's far more possibility that local Emiratis or Qataris or others would be hurt and killed, and that would require a response from these other nations. So I think if there's going to be any strike against U.S. interests in the region, it would be highly unlikely that it will be directly connected to Iran. Iran has other assets, and there may be other reasons and other groups that would want to, but it doesn't seem like it would be very beneficial for Iran to engage in that. And I don't think Dr. Dorsey and I disagree really on what Iran's capability, what Iran's strategy might be. And I think that we don't know, at least from the open source, is certainly for the missiles and drones what they have left.
I understand, sir. I think a lot will also rely on how much America is able to ensure that Israel exercises some restraint as well. I think that is also going to be extremely important and will test the Trump administration. I want to quickly now get in some updates regarding that is coming in. As I said, through the night, these attacks continued, and now as the morning has begun, fresh updates are coming in. I want to address that and then get in my colleague Vishal to tell us the kind of attacks that actually took place. But before that, viewers, if you're tuning in right now, Iran has warned the US, UK and France that their military bases and ships will be targeted if they help block Iranian missile and drone retaliation for Israeli attack, threatening a possible widening of this conflict. So as I said, both sides have hardened their positions and they are vowing to take retaliatory action and also send out a strong message. This is the latest that's come in, where Iran has said and told US, UK and France that if you in any way come in the middle of an Iranian retaliatory action, then they will hit their assets as well. Of course, that will mean that this conflict becomes much wider. On that note, I want to now rope in my colleague Vishal Vivek to take us through exactly what is the kind of retaliatory action that took place through the night, to understand what were these drones, what were these missiles, how powerful they were, and what's the kind of damage that they've really inflicted on Israel so far. Vishal.
So we have visuals of the strike that happened on the Tel Aviv soil just a few hours ago. You can see Iron Dome missiles, Iron Dome defense mechanism being launched from the Israeli soil, and then you see just a few seconds later a projectile landing inside the territory, which is supposedly hypersonic missile as claimed by Iran. That has to be verified. They have had hypersonic missiles according to them for a while now, but that needs to be verified. And this is yet another clip of a missile raining down near the skyline of Tel Aviv. You can see people in the background watching in horror. And this is the latest pictures which came this morning. It also shows one of the supposed hypersonic missiles raining there just down. And this is yet another picture that went viral on social media that shows that there was a shock wave when that missile hit the ground. And this here is a streamline of hypersonic missiles that supposedly hit Tel Aviv just a few hours ago. You can see dozens of missiles raining down the skyline of Tel Aviv. Whether or not these are all hypersonic missiles, that needs to be verified. But Iranian state media has repeatedly been claiming that they were successful in raining down some hypersonic missiles. So what are these hypersonic missiles? They can reach of up to 5 Mach, which is almost 5 times more than speed of sound. So that gives them, the depth, the maneuverability, so that they can evade a lot of these Iron Dome system. So that is what has happened. That is what Iran is claiming. These missiles raining down successfully. How much damage have they done? That remains to be seen. But Iran seems to have rattled Israel to some extent.
Has, and which is why it is escalating. Appreciate you giving us that lowdown, Vishal, and go back to the guests with me on the broadcast, Dr. Dorsey as well as Dr. Harrison, to understand where this is likely to go. As the morning starts there, Dr. Dorsey, it looks like things are not backing down, even as the messaging that's coming in from the Trump administration also is that they've, of course, now backing Israel, whatever decision they may take. And another fresh update that's coming from Israel is that they have announced that 9 senior Iranian nuclear scientists were killed in these Israeli airstrikes. It was earlier assumed to be 5 or 6. The figure that Israel has quoted and said is now 9, essentially means wiping out the top nuclear scientists in Iran completely. So to some extent, one would say that Israel's job has been done. They've been able to achieve some of their objectives. But Dr. Dossi, clearly the objective is far more than that. It is not just about stopping nuclear arsenal. It looks like regime change is where they want to stop.
Well, basically what they have done, let's be clear about this. This was a very well carried out military operation. It was a great embarrassment for Iran because it signified what we already knew, but nonetheless, the degree of military and intelligence penetration of the Islamic Republic that Israel has. Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, has made clear that this is just the beginning. He clearly said more is coming. It's unlikely that Israel will be capable of destroying the Iranian nuclear program. It is likely, or already has, significantly damaged it and set it back for a significant period of time. But at the end of the day, Iran would be capable of rebuilding that. I think what you heard, and it's actually a strategy that has proven to fail multiple times, not only in Iran, but also elsewhere, that it's the hope that you can basically instigate a popular revolt. That was part of the strategy that we saw in Gaza, and that hasn't worked. Netanyahu basically said in his remarks that this was an opportunity for Iranians to get their freedom. So I think that's correct that there is a broader agenda here. I think that on the nuclear issue, Israel will have certainly a degree of success on the issue of instigating.
So while we talk about the political landscape of Iran, there are deep divisions in the Israeli political landscape as well. So at some level, this will also test the political capital of the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. Dr. Dossi?
I don't think that, yes, there's no question about it, that the polities both in Israel and Iran are deeply divided. They're not deeply divided in Israel on Iran. They may be deeply divided on Gaza, but Israelis, by and large, see Iran as an imminent and an existential threat. To be fair, the Iranians have done themselves no favors with the rhetoric that they've had and used with regard to Israel, as well as their denial of the Holocaust. But so I don't think that the divisions in Israel are going to be the major issue domestically when it comes to Iran.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Harrison, come in there on the commentary that's coming from Iran. As I said, just 5 minutes back when we started this broadcast, essentially warning US, UK and France that their bases will be targeted in the region if they try and prevent attacks on Israel. How strong do you see this message in its tone and tenor, and where do you see this in the larger context of the region being in turmoil?
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly all the nations are going to have to take that seriously. The U.S. has the largest presence in the region, but both the British and the French have bases in other places within the Arabian Gulf. So they're going to clearly take that very seriously. But the reality is that if Iran wants to do that, they themselves will be putting their regime at risk. Part of what the Israelis seem to be trying to achieve in the regime change is that they have made it very clear that the threats that they have been dealing with the last decade, 20 years, are emanating from Iran. And you can debate whether that is the case or not. But if Iran is looking to achieve a nuclear weapon, and that would be about regime protection, many countries in the region would be concerned about that because it gives them an ability to, the Iranians, an ability to be able to sort of deflect any responsibility for proxy attacks and other things.
But do you see,
so if Iran is going to be...
But do you see this conflict seeing the role of some of these other leaders in a larger way? Do you see America, US or France, any one of them getting dragged? This commentary is important in that context as well.
Certainly, and the U.S. Has already said that some of their anti-missile assets in the region have engaged with that. But you've also got other countries in the region who have told Iran that their airspaces are closed, so that their missiles can't go through. So there is a lot of concern, obviously, in the region. There are many countries that are trying to figure out how to respond, and it is up to certainly both combatants to try to make sure that if they don't want the situation to spiral out of control, that they begin to take measures that would try to prevent that. And certainly the rhetoric from either side is not, at the moment, certainly does not seem to be indicating that is an intention.
All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on this important story that we're keeping a very close watch on. I want to now play out sound bites of the Israeli Prime Minister and Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei to tell you viewers who are tuning in right now the seriousness of this conflict and the potential that it has in terms of engulfing the entire region in a larger conflict. Listen into those sound bites.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools, and lead with impact. Starts July 13th. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered, where every debate finds its resolution.
All right, viewers, before going into that break, I had said that we are going to hear those important sound bites of Prime Minister Netanyahu and Iranian leader Khamenei on which way this war is likely to go, how much are they likely to now retaliate and escalate this regional conflict, and whether at all it will mean other players, world leaders, being forced to step in. All that you will get a sense of by listening to the sound bites of these two leaders.
Tonight I wish to speak to you, the proud people of Iran. We're in the midst of one of the greatest military operations in history, Operation Rising Lion. The Islamic regime, which has oppressed you for nearly 50 years, threatens to destroy my country, the State of Israel. The objective of Israel's military operation is to remove this threat, both the nuclear threat and the ballistic missile threat to Israel. And as we achieve our objectives, we're also clearing the path for you to achieve your objective, which is freedom. In the past 24 hours, we've taken out top military commanders, senior nuclear scientists, the Islamic regime's most significant enrichment facility, and a large portion of its ballistic missile arsenal. More is on the way.
شهادت سرداران و دانشمندان عزیز که البته برای همه سنگین است و تعدادی از مردم غیر نظامی رو به ملت ایران به خانواده های اونها تبریک و تسلیت عرض میکنم. و اما مطلبی که مایل بودم با ملت عزیزمون در میان بذارم اینه که رژیم صهیونیستی اشتباه بزرگی کرد، خطای بزرگی کرد، غلطی کرد و عواقب او رو بیچاره خواهد کرد به توفیق الهی. ملت ایران از خون شهدای گرانقدر نخواهد گذشت، از تجاوز با آسمان کشورش صرف نظر نخواهد کرد.
Viewers, as we wrap things up, there's a very important update that's just come in, which is that the Iranian Atomic Energy Agency has said that the damage to their nuclear facilities has been very limited. And that, viewers, should give you an idea about which way this war is likely to head from here. On that note, a quick break. We return with more stories and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि एनडीए सरकार में हम अगले 10 साल में विकसित भारत के सपने को साकार करके रहेंगे। अटल से तो विकसित भारत की तस्वीर है, प्रेरणा और प्रगति।
Civil Aviation Secretary on pilot's last message. Mayday, Mayday. Aviation Ministry holds its first press conference after the plane crash. A high-level team led by Home Secretary to probe the crash, 3-month deadline set for the high-level investigation team. Minister Mohan Naidu says black box recovered will be providing in-depth insight. Boeing 787 fleet is under lens now, and this is after AI plane crash. Government has ordered extended surveillance of Boeing 787 planes. Air India carries out safety checks on 9 planes. Ahmedabad plane crash probe is underway. Teams lift off plane's tail, only intact part of Air India 171. Boeing whistleblower speaks to NDTV. He says there are indications of dangerous manufacturing. Israel-Iran trade missile attacks. Iran retaliates. 3 people have been killed in Israel, 78 killed in Iran as Israel continues assault. Iran has warned West against stopping strikes on Israel. Well, in the aftermath of the plane crash in Ahmedabad, Air India is carrying out safety checks on Boeing 787. In a post, it has said Air India is in the process of completing one-time safety checks directed by the Indian aviation regulator DGCA. These checks are being carried out on Boeing 787 fleet as they return to India before being cleared for their next operations. Air India has completed such checks on 9 of these aircraft, and they are on track to complete the process for the remaining 24 aircraft within the timeline that has been provided by the regulator DGCA. Tanushka Datta joins us with more details on this. Tanushka, explain to us the new safety protocols that have been put in place. Clearly, Boeing 787 fleet is under the lens now because of the accident before the crash that took place. It used to be considered, the Dreamliner fleet used to be considered amongst the safest aircraft to travel in, but now clearly there's a cloud over that impression as well. Explain to us the significance of these checks.
Precisely. There's a lot of contention with respect to the 787 Boeing Dreamliners now, and definitely a lot of nerves around it as well. The DGCA had very, strictly come down upon Air India and Boeing with respect to this particular aircraft model, and laid down that, they will be conducting very specific scrutiny of these models before they are sent into operations. As you also mentioned, that Air India has completed such checks on 9 of Boeing 787 aircraft and are on track to complete this process for the remaining 24 aircraft within the timeline provided by the regulator. Now, what are these checks? Inspection of fuel parameter monitoring, inspection of cabin air compressors, electronic engine control system tests is also to be done. Engine fuel-driven actuator operational tests are also to be done. Oil system checks, serviceability checks of hydraulic system, and review of takeoff parameters. Flight control inspection is also to be introduced in transit inspection, and power assurance is, of course, necessary to be carried out within the next 2 weeks. Now, the DGCA will go through all of these reviews, and this report is being submitted to the DGCA, and only after the DGCA issues their approval of a competent authority will these aircraft and these flights be operational.
Thank you, Tanushka, for joining us with those details. Moving on, let's also tell you a little bit about the first press conference that Civil Aviation Minister Mohan Naidu addressed. This is his first media briefing after the Air India flight crash in Ahmedabad on Thursday. He said that the black box data from the aircraft is being decoded, while multiple agencies and high-level committees are also conducting an extensive probe into the incident. The black box data is expected to provide crucial information about the cause of the crash. The ministry is taking this incident with a lot of seriousness. The aircraft accident Accident Investigation Bureau was immediately mobilized. The DGAAIB immediately rushed to the site to take stock of the situation. One update from the technical investigation team, which is happening through AAIB, is the recovery of the black box from the accident site around 5 p.m. yesterday. That's what the minister said today, addressing the press. He has also said that there'll be another high-level committee over AIB to investigate the crash, and that committee will be given a 3-month deadline for the probe. He has also talked about enhancing safety standards for all aircraft. One representative from the state of Gujarat, Police Commissioner of Ahmedabad, DGBCAS, DGCA, and Special Director from IB and Directorate from Forensic Services will be working together on this matter, on this probe. And a time limit of 3 months has been set for this. Very strict safety protocols will also be followed. The ministry has also, in fact, the DGCA has also ordered extended surveillance of Boeing 787. These were the announcements that Mohan Naidu, the Civil Aviation Minister, said today, and this was his first media briefing after the crash.
We are going to form another high-level committee before, and immediately we have constituted the committee also yesterday. The Home Secretary is going to be the chairman of the committee, Secretary Ministry of Civil Aviation, Additional Secretary from MHA, one representative from the state of Gujarat where the incident actually happened, representative from State Disaster Response Authority, Government of Gujarat, Police Commissioner Ahmedabad, DG Inspection and Safety from the Indian Air Force, DG BCAS, which is the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, DG DGCA, Special Director from IB, and Director from the Directorate of Forensic Sciences Services. So like you see, the composition of the high-level committee involves people from various backgrounds, and we have put a time limit of 3 months for them to sit down, talk to various stakeholders, and involve and discuss with any other important expert that is necessary as per their investigation. The incident happened. We also felt that there is a need to do an extended surveillance into the Boeing 787 series. So from the DGCA, we have also given an order to do the extended surveillance for the 787 planes. There are 34 in our Indian aircraft fleet today. I believe that 8 have already been inspected, and with immediate urgency, all of them are going to be done. And we have instructed Air India also to facilitate in the process of assisting the families of the passengers in whatever way is required. The DNA testing is also happening on one side so that the bodies can be identified and be given to the respected families. So the government of Gujarat is coordinating with that. They have been there on the ground since the time of the crash, and they have been facilitating with all the efforts, all the measures that are required from their side. So once the DNA testing is confirmed, the bodies are being given to the respected families. And we are hoping that process also gets finished as soon as possible, but the documentation and the procedure needs to be followed. So according to the time that needs to be taken, we are ensuring that there doesn't be any lapse in the process or the protocol that needs to be followed.
Well, in the same media briefing, Civil Aviation Secretary Sameer Sinha also spoke about the last message that pilots of this plane that crashed, Sumit Sabharwal and Clive Kundar, gave just minutes before the plane crashed. And there was this one last radio message that was sent to air traffic control, and that was sent at 1:39 p.m. This is what the Civil Aviation Ministry said today. In fact, the ministry said that the pilots had made the distress call after the plane failed to rise above 650 feet, but the ATC's responses got no reply from the pilots. The plane had crashed by then.
इस विमान ने दोपहर 1:39 पर टेक ऑफ किया था और कुछ ही सेकंड्स में लगभग 650 फीट की ऊंचाई पर पहुंचने के पश्चात ये सिंक करने लगा, अर्थात ऊंचाई खोने लगा था। 1:39 में पायलट ने एटीसी को, अहमदाबाद एटीसी को, उसने मे डे अर्थात फुल इमरजेंसी की सूचना दी थी। एटीसी के अनुसार जब उसने विमान से संपर्क करने की कोशिश की, उसका कोई उत्तर नहीं मिला। जहां तक विमान के पूरे इतिहास की बात है, विमान ने इस दुर्घटना से पहले पेरिस दिल्ली अहमदाबाद सेक्टर की उड़ान बिना किसी घटना के पूरी की थी।
Possible theories behind the Ahmedabad plane crash will be assessed. Those were the words of Civil Aviation Minister Mohan Naidu this afternoon, along with the Secretary of the Ministry of Civil Aviation, Samir Kumar Sinha, as well as the Minister, conducted a press conference and a briefing as to what has been unearthed in the last 48 hours. He extended his condolences to the families of the deceased. Home Minister, he said, also personally visited the crash site in Ahmedabad, and the Gujarat government is also conducting ongoing rescue operations as well as relief operations on the site. Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau has been mobilized, which is the AAIB. The DG of AAIB has been rushed to the site along with an investigation team which will look at the technical aspects of the failure of this particular aircraft and what could be unearthed out of the whole investigation that has taken place in the last 48 hours. A key point of discussion, of course, was the black box that was recovered, which is expected to offer a lot of insights into the technical failures and the probability of why the plane crash happened in Ahmedabad, and will offer key insights, is what the minister also reiterated. Government is treating the crash with utmost seriousness. He said a high-level committee has been formed to oversee the investigation, apart from the AAIB team that has already been deployed. The committee, of course, is headed by a Union Home Secretary, and along with that, there are a group of members along with the state representatives of Gujarat who were present at the site and have witnessed the crash in the last couple of hours. Ahmedabad Police Commissioner, the DG of BCAS as well as DGCA have also been deployed. Special Director of the IB has also been put on this team, and the Directorate of Forensic Services has also joined this whole team to investigate the matter. The ministers also said that within the next 3 months they will try and complete the investigation and dig out the reason why this plane crash really happened.
Well, with that, it's time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Gensol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have two credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong,
right,
and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Junkie brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course, but a lavish flat in Gurgaon's luxurious DLF Carmelias.
not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. Newsnight, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV.
Welcome back. At the front of this horrible tragedy are precious lives that have been lost now. 3 members of a family in Vasad village, Anand, headed to attend convocation ceremony of their daughter, did not return. 23 kilometers from Anand, city of Ahmedabad, is Vasad village, where a family mourns the death of their 3 members. Parth Patel, son of Hemangini, who shares how difficult it was to become for the family to accept all of this. In fact, all the responsibility of the family is now on him, as it was less than a year that his father Arun Patel died of heart attack, and now this tragedy has taken away his mother, his uncle and his aunt, leaving all responsibility on him. He said that 3 of them were travelling to attend the convocation ceremony of his sister on the 23rd of June. They had a scheduled ticket for 16th of June, but in order to spend more time with his cousin, they cancelled it and booked an earlier flight, 12th of June, which turned out to be fatal for them.
हम इस वक्त आनंद में है और एक ही परिवार के 3 जन की यहाँ पर जान जा चुकी है। कहीं ना कहीं बहुत दुख का माहौल है। उनके बेटे ने पार्थ, उनसे बात करने की कोशिश करते। पार्थ जी, दुख का पहाड़ पूरे परिवार पे टूटा है। कहीं ना कहीं जो चाचा थे, पहले आपने अपने पिताजी को भी खो दिया और अब चाचा को भी खो दिया। अब पूरी जिम्मेदारी आप पर आ गई है।
हाँ, लास्ट ईयर मेरे फादर एक्सपायर हो गए थे, उनको अटैक आया था और इस फ्लाइट में 3 लोग थे। मेरी मदर थी, मेरे अंकल थे और मेरी आंटी थी।
अगर बता पाए कि किसके लिए जा रहे थे? आपकी बहन वहाँ पढ़ती है, उनका?
हाँ, वहाँ पे उसका कॉन्वोकेशन था 23rd को, इसलिए वो जा रहे थे कॉन्वोकेशन अटेंड करने के लिए।
और आपने सैंपल दिया, किस तरीके से सिविल हॉस्पिटल से कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन आई है? कब तक क्या पता चल पाएगा? बॉडीज़ कब तक आइडेंटिफाई होगी?
उनका कांटेक्ट फ़ोन आया था उनका कि आइडेंटिफाई हो रहा है, वो लोग प्रोसेस में, वो लोग हमारे कांटेक्ट में ही है, सभी प्रशासन सब लोग कांटेक्ट में है।
जिस तरीके से एक फादर का खोना, फिर एक अटैचमेंट होता है चाचा के साथ, और एक घर के अंदर बड़े का होना, और कुछ यादें अगर आप बता पाए किस तरीके से आप उनके साथ जेल करते थे या रहते थे, क्या कहना चाहते हो?
कोई नो वर्ड्स, कुछ नहीं, अभी नहीं, मैं बात नहीं कर सकता।
आपने एक चीज़ और बताई थी कि कैसे 20 तारीख की टिकट थी लेकिन 12 की कर दी गई, और कहीं ना कहीं ये भी बताया जा रहा है कि एयर इंडिया से ट्रैवल नहीं करते थे, एमिरेट्स से जाते थे, पहली बार उन्होंने ट्रैवल किया। अगर कुछ उसके बारे में?
नहीं, वो जाते थे मगर मेरी मदर साथ में थी, तो उन्होंने सोचा कि 9 घंटे के अंदर डायरेक्ट फ़्लाइट है तो उसका यूज़ करें, इसलिए डोमेस्टिक ट्रैवल वो करते थे एयर इंडिया में, मगर इंटरनेशनल कभी कभी प्रीफर करते थे।
तो ऐसा क्या कारण रहा कि 20 तारीख की टिकट थी और 12 की करनी पड़ी, या चेंज हुआ?
ज़्यादा टाइम स्पेंड करना था डॉटर के साथ।
अच्छा, धन्यवाद हमसे बात करने के लिए। आपके दुख में हम भी शामिल हैं और जल्द से जल्द आशा करते हैं कि बॉडी आइडेंटिफाई और यहाँ पर आगे का काम किया जाए।
Well, there have also been political reactions from leaders on the plane crash. Let's listen into what Akhilesh Yadav said.
यहाँ तक जो घटना अहमदाबाद में हुई है, बहुत दुखद घटना है, और जब तस्वीरें हम देखते हैं तो न केवल दुख होता है, बल्कि ये भी मन में आता है कि आखिरकार हो कैसे गया। और आज के समय पर जहाँ पर टेक्नोलॉजी में चीजें इतनी आगे हैं, बहुत सी चीजों का अनुमान पहले ही लगाया जा सकता है, लेकिन घटना जो हुई है उसकी जांच हो रही है। हमने तो आपके माध्यम से जाना कि उसका ब्लैक बॉक्स भी मिल गया है, और उसमें जो जानकारी होगी उसके बाद मैं समझता हूँ जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन एजेंसीज लगी हैं उनकी जांच रिपोर्ट जब आ जाएगी तो सच्चाई सामने आएगी.
Let's time for a short break. We'll get you more news on the other side.
Missiles fly, tensions escalate. Fearsome eruption between Iran and Israel. Middle East on the boil again.
Operation Rising Lion.
Two nations strike, global tremors. NDTV reports from the ground.
Without US help and military and intelligence help, Israel couldn't carry out this kind of massive operation against Iran.
Israel-Iran at war.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage. Modi's multilateral momentum. NDTV Live from the G7 summit in Canada.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV. If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
Why was there a hurry? Was it the government that was in a hurry?
I don't want to blame anyone.
Joining us today here in the NDTV newsroom.
Government cannot walk away from this responsibility.
Cricket is region of sort in this country.
Would you like to comment on what happened?
What is the condition of the injured at this point? How many people died?
What exactly happened? You have lost your daughter.
In the wake of Pahalgam, all eyes on the Amarnath Yatra. Amidst fear, faith and fortitude. India's biggest fight against terror.
Welcome back. Debris clearance is underway in Ahmedabad at the crash site. The tail portion of the aircraft is being removed with the help of cranes. Remember, this is the only part of the airplane that is intact, and it's a crucial part of crucial evidence for investigation as well. Another body has been recovered from the tail portion is what we understand. The death toll now stands at 275, including the medical college students and doctors who lost their lives at the time of the crash. As DNA matching efforts continue, the probe team has arrived at the site to investigate the crash as well. Let's take a look at this report that my colleague Ankit sent.
All right, at this moment, what you see behind me is the tail section being taken down of this aircraft, which you are seeing dramatic, unfortunate, horrible symbol of this tragedy. And at this moment, what you are seeing is the entire tail section. 2 cranes since yesterday were in fact put in at this very place. And once the entire thing was secured, the entire tail section has been brought down. This was, as I've been saying, the biggest intact section of Air India 171. And for the last in a couple of days, this was the focus of investigation. This was the focus for the authorities to recover the black box on the rooftop of this first floor where it initially perched, where it initially, in fact, went into the building, the JK Medical College mess and hostel. It has been precariously hanging since then. The landing gear was also, in fact, under this tail section. And since the last couple of days, a lot of teams of the investigators have been focusing on this area. Unfortunately, today, some more human remains were recovered from this very tail section by the NDRF and the other agencies. But just a moment ago, the entire tail section of this aircraft, which has sadly, unfortunately, and in a very horrible way, had become the reminder or the symbol of this one of the worst tragedies, air tragedies that India has ever seen. This tail section, the one which was intact, has now been brought down. This is the latest that we are bringing to you here on NDTV. Continuously for the last few hours, operations were on to secure it. And once these cranes came into being, both these the cranes, first they secured this entire thing and of course then went across to bring it down. With Sudesh Ankityagi, NDTV.
Well, with that, it's time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold
CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools, and lead with impact. Starts July 13th. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
How often have you turned away from debates that descend into endless fights? We bring you a show where every question is answered, where every debate finds its resolution, where every story finds its conclusion, where opinions collide but facts prevail, where stories unfold with insights and trust. When the noise ends, the last word begins.
Welcome back. A calm hand in Gujarat's stormy politics. A man who once helmed the state of Gujarat with quiet confidence, Vijay Rupani, today is no more. The former Chief Minister of Gujarat was amongst the 241 people killed in this horrific Air India crash in Ahmedabad. His death marks not just a personal tragedy for his family. He was all set to visit his daughter in London. His family was waiting there for him. It's also in some ways an end of an era for Gujarat's BJP politics, specifically with regard to Vijay Rupani. He was the Chief Minister of the state from 2016 to 2021. Today we look at his journey from Rajkot, from being the mayor of Rajkot to being an organizational man, to helming the CM's post in Meghaninagar, and now somebody who has passed away. The number 1206 particularly was not just a number for Vijay Rupani. It was also a constant across his decades of public and private life. It often featured on the number plates of his vehicles, be it a scooter in his early days or the official car of a chief minister. For the long-serving BJP leader, 1206 it stood for good fortune, but unfortunately, it didn't. On the 12th of June 2025, that number, in a cruel twist of fate, became also the day for his death. Now, Mr. Rupani, 68 years old, was amongst the 242 people on board Air India flight AI-171, which crashed moments after takeoff from Ahmedabad Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport. He was going to London to be with his family and particularly his daughter. The aircraft plunged into a medical college complex in Meghaninagar in Ahmedabad. It sparked a massive blaze and led to the deaths of several people. Like I said, he was traveling to London to meet his daughter and also visit his wife, was there. He never made it. The flight manifested, in fact, the flight manifesto listed him on seat 2D. There are also pictures that people took of him as one of the passengers there. Civil Aviation Minister Mohan Naidu confirmed that the former Chief Minister was amongst the dead. Before that, Union Minister C.R. Patil also had said that he had passed away. The crash occurred on the 12th day of the 6th month, 1206, the same date that Vijay Rupani would consider very lucky for him. BJP leaders, including Gujarat State Party President C.R. Patil, have noted this tragic irony. The Prime Minister was also at his residence. He met with his wife, Anjali Rupani, and he has paid his tributes as well. He has called him an organizational man, a true patriot. But remember that there is a lot more to Vijay Rupani. Rupani's journey has left a long trail. He was the Chief Minister from Saurashtra. He was formerly the mayor of Rajkot. He belonged to the Jain community, and his importance in Gujarat politics is critical because he was more than anything an organizational man, a BJP man. Born in Burma in 1956, Mr. Rupani moved to Rajkot with his family as a child. He was an early member of the RSS and later the ABVP, which is the student wing of the RSS. And he was also very active during emergency. He was imprisoned during emergency. And those who know him also say that he was not a headline chaser. He preferred backroom strategy. He was a common man. He was a common man's CM, and he was a 3-time MLA from Rajkot who took over as the Chief Minister of Gujarat in 2016. And this was after Anandiben Patel's resignation. He remained in office till 2021. And this was a turbulent time because Gujarat had witnessed the Patidar protests and also protests over Unnao flogging. But Mr. Rupani took over as the Chief Minister then. And he also, in some ways, was described as BJP's calm force in crisis. BJP also saw one of its turbulent elections under him in 2017. Vijay Rupani maintained quiet discipline even during turbulent times such as the Patidar agitation or COVID-19 pandemic. His critics often called him soft, but party insiders who have worked with him say that there are reasons about his personality traits that have also made him a trusted choice because he got things done without making a noise and he was largely non-controversial. And he's the one who passed away along with 242 others. And they were all on board the plane. Prime Minister Modi has visited his family and he has paid his condolences in person, also tweeting about him. He's survived by his wife, his daughter and his son. Let me get you some reactions from political leaders who have spent time with Vijay Rupani. This is what Shankar Singh Waghela, former Chief Minister of Gujarat, said with regard to him.
विजय भाई का जो हमने सुना बहुत दुख हुआ। हमारी बहन जो है विजय भाई की जो शादी हुई तब से मैं इनका साक्षी रहा और उस समय भी जो एबीवीपी में विजय भाई यहाँ विस्तारक थे, हमारा मिलना होता था। इसके बाद भी जब मुख्यमंत्री बने तब भी हम मिले। ऐसे सालस अच्छे कार्यकर्ता, अच्छे लीडर और वेरी पॉपुलर। उनका लॉस परिवार को तो बियॉन्ड इमेजिनेशन है, तो उनका पुत्र मिला, अच्छी मिली, वो सब मिले तो दुख होता है।
Gopi Manyar joins us. Gopi, tell us what kind of a person, politician Vijay Rupani was, because he helmed a state like Gujarat, which has seen leaders like Narendra Modi and of course others like Amit Shah, Anandiben Patel. Vijay Rupani was slightly different. People say that he was a karyakarta at the core. You have seen him very closely. Tell us what are the unique traits about him.
देखिए, विजय रूपानी की अगर खास बात कही जाए तो वो हर इंसान के साथ एक सामान्य इंसान की तरह ही बात करते थे। जब वो गुजरात में मुख्यमंत्री के तौर पर थे और अचानक उन्हें बोला गया कि आपको एज अ चीफ मिनिस्टर रिजाइन करना है, तो बिना वक्त गवाए उन्होंने सीधा रिजाइन कर दिया। मतलब कभी भी उनको कुर्सी के साथ, जो हर किसी को होता है कि कुर्सी से प्यार होता है, उनको कभी भी कुर्सी के साथ कोई लगाव नहीं था। इनफैक्ट मेरी तो उनसे जब 30 तारीख के आसपास ही मुलाकात हुई थी और उस वक्त उन्होंने, जब हमारी बातचीत हो रही थी, तब उन्होंने कहा था कि अब नेक्स्ट टाइम मैं जब आऊंगा तो मैं अपनी बेटी के घर होकर वापस आ रहा हूँ। तो उनके साथ काफी ज्यादा उनका हर किसी के साथ बहुत ही अपनापन था। यहाँ तक कि राजकोट के अंदर आज जो मार्केट है वो पूरी तरीके से बंद रखी गई है। अलग अलग जो एसोसिएशन है उन्होंने भी आज बंद रखा है विजय भाई को श्रद्धांजलि देते हुए। ये कहा जा रहा है कि विजय भाई की जो डीएनए टेस्ट हो जाएगा और डीएनए टेस्ट होने के बाद उनकी जब अंतिम यात्रा निकाली जाएगी तो वो भी राजकोट के अंदर ही निकाली जाएगी, क्योंकि रंगून से जब वो राजकोट आए और राजकोट में जब उनका पूरा बचपन बीता है तो हर किसी का उनके साथ एक अलग ही रिश्ता है और उसी रिश्ते के साथ विजय रूपानी का जो अपनापन होता है वो हर किसी को यहाँ पे दिखता है। वो चाहे छोटा सा छोटा कार्यकर्ता हो या बड़े से बड़े नेता हो, हर कोई विजय रूपानी को अपना मानता था। और शायद उनका ये जो हम कह सकते कि जिस तरीके से वो काम करते थे, उनका जो स्टाइल था, उनका जो अंदाज था, वो बेहद ही खास इसलिए भी था कि छोटा सा छोटा कार्यकर कभी भी उनके घर पर जा सकता था। यहाँ तक कि उनकी वाइफ जो है वो भी बीजेपी के साथ जुड़ी हुई थी, तो उनका भी उनके साथ एक अलग ही रिश्ता था। अलग ही तरीके से वो पति पत्नी दोनों ही बीजेपी में हर कार्यकर्ता के साथ बेहद प्यार से उनका जो बर्ताव रहता था वो होने की वजह से विजय रूपानी को एक अलग लेवल पे देखा जाता है। जब गुजरात में बतौर मुख्यमंत्री थे तो कई ऐसे डिसीजन लिए। इनफैक्ट अहमदाबाद से लंदन की जो फ्लाइट की शुरुआत 2016 से 2021 के बीच में जब वो यहाँ पे थे तो उन्हीं के जरिए की गई थी, क्योंकि हर बार ये रिक्वेस्ट आती थी कि यहाँ से अहमदाबाद से कोई इंटरनेशनल डायरेक्ट फ्लाइट नहीं है, तो विजय रूपानी के जरिए ही इस फ्लाइट की शुरुआत की गई थी। मैं आपको बता दूं कि विजय रूपानी का जो सफर है वो भी बेहद दिलचस्प है, क्योंकि विजय रूपानी ने इससे पहले 3 बार अपनी फ्लाइट की जो टिकट थी उसे कैंसिल करवाया था और ये तीसरी बार का सफर था जब विजय रूपानी, मतलब पहली बार उन्होंने टिकट बुक करवाई थी 19 मई की, वो कैंसिल करवाई। उसके बाद उन्होंने टिकट करवाई थी 5 जून की, वो भी कैंसिल करवाई और अब 12 जून को वो यहाँ से जा रहे थे। और उनका जो ये सफर था, उन्होंने अपनी पत्नी अंजलि रूपानी को आखिरी फोन करके कहा था कि अंजू मैं फ्लाइट में बैठ गया हूँ, कल मिलते हैं। तो ये वो शब्द थे। और अंजलि रूपानी जब यहाँ पे वापिस आई तो उनका पहला शब्द था कि मुझे एक बार विजय का मुंह दिखा दीजिए। तो कहीं ना कहीं दोनों के बीच में पति पत्नी का प्यार भी था, जो लोगों को, क्योंकि दोनों ही बीजेपी के साथ जुड़े हुए थे, हर कार्यकर्ता उनको जानते थे, उनके परिवार को जानते थे। राजकोट के अंदर ये कहा जाता है इतने ग्राउंड लेवल के नेता थे कि हर गली हर नुक्कड़ पे कोई ना कोई उनका पहचान वाला मिलता था।
Absolutely. Thank you, Gopi, हमसे जुड़ने के लिए. Excellent details there of how Vijay Rupani was also a family man who also gave a lot of importance to his family, a unique chief minister, and also let me get you more voices of people who have worked with Vijay Rupani. Let me get in Yamal Vyas now. Yamal Vyas is the chairperson of Gujarat State Finance Commission. Thank you, Mr. Vyas, for speaking to NDTV. Sir, what is your best memory of Vijay Rupani? How would you describe him today?
I worked with him for a very long time, right from 1998 when he was first appointed as chairman of the Program Implementation Committee in the Keshubai Patel government. And till the time, I think I last met him just a few days before I became chairman of the Finance Commission, that is around Diwali. And he was always the same. And all the memories that I have, because when he was the spokesperson of the party, I was the co-spokesperson. So I worked with him for many long years. And all the time, he was a very simple man, very, I would say, a very concerned about the workers at all times. When he was not very senior and even when he became the chief minister, I don't think there was any change in him.
Right. Mr. Vyas, also help us understand the importance of someone like Vijay Rupani in Gujarat politics, because, you know, he came from the minority Jain community. He was from Saurashtra. Gujarat has seen chief ministers such as Keshubhai Patel in the past from Saurashtra. He represented a very important part of the state. And how do you explain the importance of Vijay Rupani in the context of Gujarat politics?
Vijay Bhai was one of the very few surviving workers of the BJP till recently who had gone to jail during the emergency. At a very young age of 19 years, he was imprisoned for 11 months. And right from then, he has been working for the BJP. So he was a hardcore organization man. He came up from the ranks. He started at the bottom and he became the mayor of Rajkot, as you said. And then he shifted to Gandhinagar in state politics. And he has always worked in the party organization for 3 terms. I think he was the general secretary of the state party. You know how important that post is for the BJP. And all during that time, he made a major role in expanding the reach of the party, especially in the Saurashtra Kutch region. And after he became CM, he had a 5-year tenure during which Gujarat made tremendous progress in all areas, and people will always remember him for his good, successful term as the CM.
Right. Also, Mr. Vyas, I remember meeting Mr. Rupani when he became the chief minister. It was a very turbulent time because the Patidar protests had, were going on, and this was in 2016. And then the agitation, did not subside. And of course, in 2017, BJP also witnessed one of the toughest elections. And there was also the Unnao floggings, and generally a difficult time for the state. But how did you see Mr. Rupani going through all of this? And then, of course, COVID came. How did he manage all of these turbulences?
He used to, as I said, even when he was the CM, he was more an organization man. He always cared for the party's growth, party's success. And as you rightly said, 2017 was a difficult election for the BJP. We got a good majority. And then after that election, in the next 3-4 years, he did a tremendous amount of work. And after his re-election in 2017, his performance, especially during the difficult time of COVID, when the whole country and the whole world was passing through a very, very difficult period, he handled Gujarat's COVID epidemic in such a nice manner that I would say he worked day and night like every other leader. But being the leader of the state, he had a major responsibility which he carried out with complete success, preventing a large number of deaths and really coming through COVID with the most minimum of damage.
Also, Mr. Vyas, if I were to ask you, what are the best achievements that you can think of? What are the highlights of Mr. Rupani's tenure when it comes to policy or politics? Because I remember having these conversations with him on domicile reservation then, which was coming into effect in Gujarat. And he used to talk about the project that was coming up in Sanand. He made it very clear that all of this was the vision of the Prime Minister and he was only taking things forward. What would you think would be the best highlights of his policy and his political approach?
He was a very simple man and he tried to make life of the common man very simple. He made a lot of changes which really made very, very simple the day-to-day life and especially the people dealing with the government. Throughout his tenure, he was continuously working on simplifying life for the people and also in developing the state. For example, AIMS was brought into Gujarat during his tenure, and yet he was instrumental in getting a lot of projects in Gujarat during his tenure, which I'm sure will stand the test of time.
Mr. Vyas, my last question to you, sir. What would you describe as the best personality traits of Mr. Rupani, something that really made him who he was?
He was most friendly with the smallest of workers, and I have always experienced his hospitality, his simple frankness, and he was always very frank with the workers, which is very rare in politics. But with every worker, he was very frank, and he had a very clear idea of what he wanted, he wanted for the party, and he did that at all times.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Vyas, for joining us on NDTV. This is Yamal Vyas speaking on Vijay Rupani, and he is also the chairperson of the Gujarat State Finance Commission. Also, Raju Dhruv joins us. He's a senior BJP leader in the state of Gujarat. Thank you, Mr. Dhruv, for speaking to NDTV. So, what are your memories, heartfelt memories of Mr. Vijay Rupani? How do you remember him today?
मैडम, मैं हिंदी में बात करूंगा।
जी जी बोलिए।
विजय रूपानी एक तो क्या था कि वो विद्यार्थी काल युवा मैं मानता हूँ कि 1975 में वो यहाँ के धर्मेंद्र सिंह जी साइंस कॉलेज है, वहाँ जनरल सेक्रेटरी चुने गए। जैसे जेएनयू में अभी एबीवीपी और लेफ्टिस्ट पार्टियों के चलता है, वैसा यहाँ कांग्रेस और तब एबीवीपी के बीच संघर्ष चलता था। वो संघर्ष करके वहाँ जनरल सेक्रेटरी के तौर पर चुने गए। फिर वहां से उनको कटोकटी यानी आपातकाल में श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी ने जब आपातकाल डाला तो सबसे छोटी आयु, सबसे कम आयु के युवा के तौर पर उनको जेल में 11 महीने तक डाला गया। फिर बाद में वो रिहा हुए, जब आपातकाल दूर हुआ रिहा हुए, तब से वो सक्रिय राजनीति में आए। फिर वह उन्होंने राजकोट महानगर भारतीय जनता पक्ष के संगठन में कार्य किया। वहां वो स्टेट ये जो सिटी का संगठन यूनिट था उसमें उन्होंने अच्छी तरह से यशस्वी तौर पर काम किया। फिर बाद में 87 में वो नगर में पार्षद बने, म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन में वो चुने गए। तब से उनकी एक यात्रा नगर सेवक की, लोक सेवक की हुई। साथ में वो संगठन में भी माहिर थे, संगठन में भी उनकी एक इतनी पकड़ थी। और सबसे बड़ी बात, वो जमीन से जुड़े हुए कार्यकर्ता थे। एबीवीपी में उन्होंने प्रचारक के तौर पर अहमदाबाद में 3 साल तक घर छोड़ के काम किया। तो एक क्या था, संघ का स्वयंसेवक थे, तृतीय व शिक्षित स्वयंसेवक थे, एबीवीपी में प्रचारक रहे। ये सब उनका जो अनुभव था। और दूसरी बात, यहाँ की जो लोकल कॉलेज है उनमें उन्होंने जनरल सेक्रेटरी के तौर पर जो काम किया, लोगों के साथ जुड़ने का, विद्यार्थियों के साथ उनका एक अपनापन था। तो वो सब पार्टी को एक काम में आया। पार्टी में वो इतने मेहनती आदमी थे। 6-7 साल तक वो स्टैंडिंग कमेटी के राजकोट म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन में चेयरमैन है। और मैं मैडम आपको बताऊं, गुजरात में ये पहली म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन थी जो बीजेपी अपने बलबूते पर ले आई थी। फिर नरेंद्र मोदी जी के कारण अहमदाबाद, सूरत, वडोदरा सब जगह आया। तब से ये विजय भाई रूपानी की एक जो यात्रा थी, सेवा यात्रा चली। वो इतने मेहनती आदमी थे। मैं 27 साल से 97 में प्रवक्ता सौराष्ट्र रीजन के लिए, तब से मैं उनके साथ हूँ। वो कभी बैठते नहीं थे। दूसरा, वो सतत सक्रिय रहते थे।
तीसरा बात बताइए कि वो किस तरह लोगों से, क्या वो मिलनसार थे, किस तरह लोगों से बात करते थे? जहां तक मैं जानती थी कि बहुत ही ज्यादा कॉमन आदमी थे, सरल आदमी थे। कार्यकर्ताओं के साथ वो कैसे थे? उनकी सबसे अच्छी बात कौन सी थी?
मैडम, एक तो उनकी सरलता, एक किसी का भी फोन उठा लेना। दूसरी बात, वो उनकी ओपीडी, यानी सुबह जब वो जाग जाते थे तब से उनके साथ कार्यकर्ताओं, लोगों का आना जाना शुरू हो जाता था। 7-8 बजे से उनके वहां लोगों का मिलना। कभी कभी वो 11-12 बजे स्नान करने के लिए जा पाते थे। ऐसा उनका लोगों का मिलना जुलना था। वो कभी किसी को ना नहीं बोलते थे। दूसरी बात, मैं मानता हूँ राजनीति में रहना, एक वरिष्ठ राजपुरुष के तौर पर अजात शत्रु होना, किसी के लिए मन में द्वेष भाव ना हो, किसी के लिए बैर भाव ना हो, कोई विरोधी दल का आदमी हो उनके लिए कोई प्रतिस्पर्धात्मक कोई भाव ना हो। अगर वो काम ले आता है, अगर जनता के हित में है, सही काम है, तो उनका काम भी करना, ये विजय भाई की खासियत रही। विजय भाई में सबसे बड़ा गुण था, एक वो इजीली अवेलेबल रहते थे और कभी किसी को ना नहीं बोलते थे। दूसरी बात, उनका कंसेप्ट क्लियर था, देशभक्ति, राष्ट्र भावना और समाज सेवा। और सबसे बड़ी बात, वो हर हमेशा पार्टी लाइन में ही रहे, एक स्वयं शिस्त में रहने वाले कार्यकर्ता।
ये बताइए कि जब वो सीएम बने थे तो बहुत अच्छा लगा होगा राजकोट के लोगों को, सौराष्ट्र के लोगों को, कि सौराष्ट्र से कोई चीफ मिनिस्टर बना था, तो वो एक बहुत बड़े स्ट्रॉन्ग फेस थे सौराष्ट्र से। और फिर जब उनको सीएम पद से जो है वो फिर से कार्यकर्ता बन गए, उनको फिर बाकी सारी जिम्मेदारियां मिली थी, कुछ ऐसे उनके व्यक्तित्व में कोई बर्ताव, कोई चेंज आया? आपको ऐसा लगा कि किसी कब उनको बुरा लग रहा है किसी चीज़ का, कभी आपको ऐसा लगा?
मैडम मैं आपको बताऊं कि वो जब चीफ मिनिस्टर बने, एक नरेंद्र मोदी जी जब चीफ मिनिस्टर थे तब गुजरात में एक अकाल पड़ता रहता था, यहाँ सूखा ही रहता था। सौराष्ट्र जो रीजन है हमारा, वहाँ 10 साल में थे 7 साल अकाल रहता था, दुष्काल रहता था, 2-3 साल में बारिश आती थी। वैसे यहाँ के सभी डैम तालाब खाली रहते थे। नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने नर्मदा आधारित सौनी योजना मुख्यमंत्री जब थे वे शुरू की थी। विजय रूपानी जी ने जब नरेंद्र मोदी जी प्रधानमंत्री बने, उन्होंने 17 दिवस में ही नर्मदा बांध की ऊंचाई बढ़ोतरी भी बढ़ा दी और गेट मुक्त ने भी परमिशन दे दी। इससे क्या हुआ कि सौराष्ट्र में पानी देने के लिए सहूलियत हो गई। विजय रूपानी जी ने वो जो नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी ने सौनी योजना शुरू की थी, वो बाकी का काम विजय रूपानी जी ने आगे बढ़ाया। यहाँ आजी डैम के जो राजकोट की लाइफलाइन बोल सकते हैं, राजकोट की लाइफलाइन, वो डैम खाली ही रहता था, वो इतना छोटा डैम था लेकिन राजकोट की लाइफलाइन था। तो वो डैम विजय रूपानी ने तत्काल वो मुख्यमंत्री के तौर पर ऑर्डर देके पानी की पाइपलाइन डाली। मैं देखता था रात को 1 बजे वो अधिकारी को बुलाते थे, गाड़ी के बोनेट पर वो प्लान देखते थे कि भाई कैसे कैसे पाइपलाइन ले जानी है। तो उनके लिए क्या था कि लोगों का काम हो तो रात को 2 बजे भी उनके पास जा सकते थे। मैडम मैं आपको बात बताऊं, मैं यहाँ प्रवक्ता हूँ, तो यहाँ कोरोना महामारी में राजकोट को जो मीडिया कर्मी थे 100 से 150 में, वो लोग हर दिन दौड़े रहते थे और कहीं 50 डेड बॉडी पड़ी हो, कहीं 60-70 डेड बॉडी हो, वो कवर करते रहते थे। तो उस समय जब कोरोना का इन्वेंशन किया गया मोदी जी के द्वारा, कोरोना रसीद की शोध की गई, तो विजय रूपानी जी को हमने विनती की कि विजय भाई, हम यहाँ प्रवक्ता है, आप भी महामंत्री रहे, अब आप मुख्यमंत्री है, अब जब कोरोना रसी की शोध की गई है तो कोरोना से जब गुजरात में आए तो हमारी विनती है कि राजकोट के मीडिया कर्मियों को, राजकोट के इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया, सोशल मीडिया, प्रिंट मीडिया के जो कर्मी है, जो पत्रकार है, कैमरामैन है, फोटोग्राफर है, आप अगर कृपया करके उनको दिला दे तो यहाँ कोई आहत ना हो, कोई किसी की जान हानि ना हो। मैडम आपको मैं बात बताऊं, विजय रूपानी जी के कारण हमने 2 दफा यहाँ वैक्सीनेशन कैंप किया और 2 दफा समग्र भारत में पहली दफा पत्रकारों को
हेल्थ रिलेटेड एक्टिविटीज एज वेल। थैंक यू राजू जी हमसे बात करने के लिए। प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी also visited Vijay Rupani's family in Ahmedabad and he offered his condolences in person. He met Anjali Rupani, the wife of Vijay Rupani, and Vijay Rupani is survived by his son, his wife and also his daughter. The Prime Minister has called his former colleague a friend and a quiet patriot, and those close to Rupani have also said that he has been active behind the scenes and advising the party during Lok Sabha elections. He was also the in charge for the BJP when it came to Punjab elections. He was also one of the observers for the Maharashtra elections, which the NDA won with a huge majority. In his death, he reminds us that leadership often is not just loud, it can also be sincere, silent and service driven. With that, it's a wrap on the show. More news and updates on the other side.
Missiles fly, tensions escalate. Fearsome eruption between Iran and Israel. Middle East on the boil again.
Operation Rising Lion.
2 nations strike, global tremors.
رژیم صهیونیستی اشتباه بزرگی کرد.
Without US help and military and intelligence help, Israel couldn't carry out this kind of massive operation against Iran.
Israel-Iran at war.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
Parade of spring term 2025 concluded with the induction of 419 officers at the Indian Military Academy in Uttarakhand, Dehradun on Saturday. The passing out parade was held on the drill square in front of the jackpot building of the IMA. In Saturday's passing out parade, Sri Lanka's army chief also took salute of the parade. He himself passed out from the IMA in 1990.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि एनडीए सरकार में हम अगले 10 साल में विकसित भारत के सपने को साकार करके रहेंगे। अटल से तो विकसित भारत की तस्वीर है। प्रेरणा और प्रगति जब एक साथ जुड़ते हैं तो एक नए युग की नींव पड़ती है। भारत माता की
The last 1 month, if you see, the share prices of Gensol Engineering has fallen more than 58%.
Why are the rating firms calling the debt payments as default?
We have two credible credit rating agencies on March 4th coming and downgrading the stock to D.
Statements are consistently being proven wrong, and transactions are being taken place which are different from what they were originally pictured to be.
The company claimed it would roll out 6,400 electric vehicles. But what it has rolled out is a shocking scam. Funds meant for the project were funneled allegedly back to the promoters, the Junkie brothers. What did the money buy? Not EVs, of course.
Boeing 787 aircrafts under the lens after Air India plane crash. The government has ordered extended surveillance of the Boeing 787 planes. Air India, in the meanwhile, conducts safety checks on 9 of its planes. The Civil Aviation Minister, Mohan Naidu, said that there are 34 in our Indian aircraft fleet. 8 have already been inspected. A high-level team led by Home Secretary to probe this entire crash. 3 months deadline has been set for the high-level probe team. The union minister said that the black box has been recovered and it will provide in-depth insights. The Civil Aviation Secretary on the pilot's last message. The pilot's last message was Mayday, Mayday before the plane went down and all connections were lost. Meanwhile, a probe is underway as far as the Ahmedabad plane crash is concerned. The teams lift off the plane's tail, the only intact part of Air India 171. The tensions between Israel and Iran escalate. Israel and Iran trade missile attacks. 3 people have died in Israel while 78 in Iran as the strikes continue. Iran warns the West against stopping strikes on Israel. Iran says they haven't cancelled the nuclear talks with the United States in the meanwhile. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shab. The roar of jet engines. It is a familiar sound for millions around the globe, a symbol of connection, travel, a symbol of opportunity. But for many of those living in the shadow of major airports, that sound can now trigger a chilling fear. Following the devastating Air India crash in Ahmedabad, a terrifying question hangs heavy in the air. How safe are we when a catastrophe strikes so close to home? From the sprawling neighborhoods near Delhi, the bustling communities surrounding cities like Pune, to the densely populated areas around Mumbai in India. There are many such examples that I can present here. The residents worldwide are confronting a stark reality. And today we investigate this precarious lives of those living on the flight path and also the unseen risks that touch down far too close for comfort. Another big question that we also should be asking is why are settlements allowed in such areas? And we'll try and find answers to some of those questions. In fact, I'm currently joined by my guest, Saurabh Bhatnagar, former senior captain for Indigo and the senior commander for Air India Express. Mr. Bhatnagar, welcome to NDTV. My first question to you is, many people who are living near the airports, there are many, communities living near the airports, they are living in fear at the moment. How justified is this fear? What is your take on that?
Hi, Osama. I don't think that, anyone should live in a fear closer to the airport. In fact, I have heard many a time that people want to buy land when they take off a flight path so that they can have a picture and the video of the aircraft and it gets, sort of, mesmerizing something for you when you take a picture or video of a plane in such a closer look. But the thing is that, it's the rule as per what every government has got, that within 10 kilometers or something, you should not have these. So all the rules have been laid down earlier, primarily not because, you have residential areas and something. But I would like to ask, how many times, these things have happened? The rarest of the rare accidents which has happened here now in India and across the world, where you have these, planes going down. Generally what happens is, what we have seen is majority of the accidents, air accidents or incidents happen is during the landing phase or the runway or, at the, after the landing. But primarily after the takeoff, it's very few we've got the accidents happening. So one should not live in fear because these kinds of accidents or incidents, they are one of its kind. They are not, even for the people, those who are right now, staying under the takeoff or the I would say funnel, takeoff path funnel of in the at Ahmedabad airport. How often they would have, they would have experienced these kinds, first of its kind, and they would have been living there for maybe many years. And so I don't think that, if you start, and if you consider the air travel is one of the safest mode of travel these days. So my take on this is people should not get worried and, live in scare or something that, that the aircraft is going to fall on them. And these are the incidents one of its kind, and the airplanes are designed so safe and everything. So, but yes, it's a machine. But I don't think that anyone should live in a fear.
Captain Bhatnagar, stay with us because we have this very important report where we try and find the answer to this big question that, like I said, we should be asking, why are settlements allowed in such areas in the first place? Let's take a look at that report.
कल का हादसा हुआ उस वजह से हम लोग को लग रहा है कि हम लोग को भी अभी डर का माहौल हो गया।
घबराहट तो हो रही है क्योंकि कल जो हुआ वो बहुत ही बुरा हुआ।
तो यहाँ से ऐसा डर लग रहा है कि हम कभी कुछ भी हो सकता है।
जब से ये हादसा हुआ उससे और ज़्यादा डर लगने लगा है।
थोड़ा सा डर तो लगता ही है।
Loss of loved ones can never be compensated. And losing a family member to a tragedy like this plane crash is all the more painful.
बोलते हैं 1 करोड़ देंगे, 2 करोड़ दूंगी, मेरा पापा मुझे चाहिए, मेरा प्यार चाहिए।
आपके फादर थे और कोई?
मेरी मदर भी थी वहाँ, सब परिवार खत्म हो गया मेरा। और 1 करोड़ 2 करोड़ के क्या करूँगी मैं? पैसों से क्या मिलता है? पैसा से हम पलंग खरीद सकते हैं, खिलौना खरीद सकते हैं, मुझे सच्चा आनंद कब मिलेगा? सच्चा प्यार कहाँ मिलेगा?
As the Air India Dreamliner crashed in Ahmedabad, it was not only those on board who lost lives. The medical students at the BJ Medical College hostel, their relatives, and people living nearby have also borne the brunt of the tragedy. This mother ran on the road to save her child trapped in the debris after the plane crash. One moment her child was playing next to her and was gone in the next. These visuals pierce the heart. Ravi Thakur and his family worked in the mess at the BJ Medical College hostel, which is very close to the airport. Ravi Thakur is running from door to door, looking for his mother and daughter.
नहीं एडमिट में है, नहीं कुछ को पीएम बाजू में है, कुछ पता नहीं चल रहा है।
भरोसा है मिलेंगी?
भरोसा है, एक सीढ़ी है, अभी वो दीदी देखने गए हैं, अगर वहाँ से कुछ पता चल जाए तो बस।
Ravi may be exhausted from searching for his mother and daughter, but the family hasn't lost hope, even as the tears don't stop flowing.
मेरी मम्मी कल से मैस में गई, तब से वापस नहीं आई है। मेरी भतीजी भी थी साथ में। हम लोग कल से ढूंढ रहे हैं उनको, कुछ पता नहीं चल रहा है, कुछ भी नहीं। हम जगह पे सिविल में सब जगह पे ढूंढा पर कोई पता नहीं चला।
और मेरा लड़का रोड पे जल गया।
Another mother, same story. She ran a roadside stall near the airport, right where the crash happened. Her daughter-in-law was badly burnt. Her son died in the fire, and even now, they haven't found his body.
बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट हुआ है, बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट मेरे मन में ऐसा लगा, धड़ाधड़ थाना में। वो देखने जाऊँ था तो बहू भी अंदर देखने गई। इतने में तो वो एक भाग उधर पड़ा, एक भाग उधर पड़ा विमान का, और पूरा विमान बीच में गिरा और मेरा लड़का रोड पे जल गया। अच्छा। वो पूरा कैंटीन के बाहर इधर है मेन रोड पे, उधर लड़का जल गया, उधर बहू का हाथ पैर चल गया, वो भी भर्ती है।
3 lives connected by one thread of pain and loss. Their only fault, living and working in an area close to the airport.
ट्रॉमा सेंटर पर हम खड़े हुए हैं। ये अहमदाबाद का सिविल अस्पताल है। गनीमत ये रही कि वो बिल्डिंग पूरी पीछे पीछे थी। अगर सोचिए अहमदाबाद सिविल अस्पताल की वो बिल्डिंग होती तो क्या हादसा होता।
बहुत हाइट पे उड़ना चाहिए, हाइट पे उड़ ही रहा था, पर कुछ देर से वो एकदम नीचे आ गया। मुझे ऐसा लगा कि उसका थ्रस्ट लॉस हो रहा था, क्योंकि आकर ये जो बड़ा वाला पेड़ है इससे अथड़ाया, ये पेड़ से अथड़ाया, और सामने वो लोहे का एक लंबा देखिए सर, वो पूरा उसको मोड़ दिया है। ये जो आर्मी कैंटोनमेंट है, ये जो बॉर्डर है, ये पूरा आर्मी कैंटोनमेंट है। तो ये बॉर्डर को क्रॉस करके, ये बॉर्डर जैसे ही खत्म होती है, सामने सर बीजे मेडिकल का मेस है, और जो डॉक्टर्स वगैरह वो वहाँ रेसिडेंट है उनका, वो लोग 1 बजे के करीबन खाना खाने के लिए, वहाँ 1:30 बजे के करीबन खाना खाने के लिए सारा इकट्ठा हुए, और उसमें 60 स्टूडेंट्स तो खाना खा रहे थे, और बाकी के 30-35 स्टूडेंट्स उसके बगल में वेट कर रहे थे कि ये स्टूडेंट्स खत्म हो, दूसरे स्टूडेंट्स वहाँ पे खाने के लिए जाए। तो जैसे ही वो प्लेन जैसे सर वो बिल्डिंग से अथड़ाया, तो इसकी हाइट का वो बिल्डिंग था, उसका हाफ पोर्शन तो पूरा नष्ट हो गया।
After the plane crash in Ahmedabad, fear has gripped people living near airports in cities across the country. The fear is simple. What if a tragedy like the Ahmedabad plane crash happens here too?
कल का हादसा हुआ, उस वजह से हम लोग को लग रहा है कि हम लोग को भी अभी डर का माहौल हो गया।
घबराहट तो हो रही है, क्योंकि कल जो हुआ वो बहुत ही बुरा हुआ।
तो यहाँ से ऐसा डर लग रहा है कि हम कभी कुछ भी हो सकता है।
जब से ये हादसा हुआ उससे और ज़्यादा डर लगने लगा है।
Where does the buck stop? And if there's no law on homes near airports, why hasn't one been made? And if there is one, why isn't it being enforced? Because this story, this situation, isn't just about one city. It's about every city.
Captain Meghaninagar, we saw in this report how there is an underlying fear among the people who are living, near the airports in those localities. What is your one message to the people who, when we speak about the aviation industry, when we speak about flying, when we speak about traveling in planes, what is your one message that you want to give to the people around the world? Because from what we understand, and this has been established time and again, that flying is probably the safest mode of transport.
You see, Sama, the very fact that rules are already laid down, that where you should have the habitation, where you should not have the habitation. I just heard that the rules are already there, but it will be how it is being enforced. Is it being enforced or not? You look at the example of Mumbai Airport, Dharavi. I myself flying in Indigo, I had a massive verdict on my windshield once while landing at Mumbai Airport. So the thing is that, yes, the rules are there everywhere that you should not have within these 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, all with the funnel. But what are we doing? In 2019, I was reading yesterday, I think Ahmedabad Airport wanted to have an extension of the runway, to have that runway and safety area, an additional 1,000 feet in case the aircraft wants to reject the takeoff, it will go and stop in that safety area. But it was the Airport Authority of India kept on asking for land, but the government did not give, because it required relocation of 250 to 300 families from that area. Now, I saw everything. That's very, it's very sad to hear. But tomorrow, it's a dichotomy. Tomorrow, if you want them, no, we were shifting to the other places. Do you think these people will move?
True.
So now that is the problem which we are facing everywhere. The airports earlier used to be away from the cities. But now what has happened? The land has been given to the builders, and now the cities are coming closer to the airport. The airport now, look at the airport at Bengaluru, look at the airport at Hyderabad.
Yeah.
When they were inaugurated, there was nothing. Now you see the highway from Bangalore. Now all the construction be taking place. So it is the government agencies to enforce as a pilot, as an operational thing. I can say yes, the hazard will always be there. It's a machine flying in the air. We are intruding into the area of the birds. It's a machine. So I'm not saying that it will fail, but yes, it can fail, or I will not say a fail. You may you may have these kinds of incidents, but yeah, these kinds of accidents are not very common. What if you see? So the thing is that if people are saying that we are scared and everything, if the government gives them, okay, no, you should leave from this place, we will give you a safer area. Do you think Dharavi will move? So this is a question we want to ask the government and the power people, those who are in power. I would say a vote bank people, those they don't want to shift. No, you can't have both the things together.
Captain Bhatnagar, having said that, how important is it for the government, for the authorities to take a very hard look at the current situation and do something about it?
No, it is, because the only thing is that yes, government has to take a very strong stand, especially during in the takeoff and the landing, the funnel we call takeoff path and that funnel. So that funnel area, that we call it at least for a couple of miles, where it has been laid down as per the regulations. ICAO has given regulations. I'm not aware exactly but the Airport Authority of India, the airport, all the airport, they know how much is the area they require clear of the habitations over here, because these you cannot stop birds from coming. You have it because we don't have that much of civic sense in a country.
Yeah.
Even if you're looking to staying close to the airport, if we have civic sense, so the birds will not come. Why? What happens? Because the bird, and one small bird. I've had bird hits in my career in the Indigo and in Air India Express. One small bird can make a huge impact in the engine. So here in this case also,
we have seen,
and Ahmedabad has been known for the infested by birds. It's been there because when I used to fly over there, even in the ATIS, we call it the Automatic Terminal Information Service, where you get the weather. It says pilots to be cautioned about the bird. What the pilot will do at night or something.
Right.
How? So thing is, it is the government to now wake up and say, yes,
absolutely, it is.
No land will be given. No land will be given for habitation.
You're absolutely right, sir. It is quite imperative that the governments also and authorities take a very hard look at the current situation and do something about it. Thank you very much for speaking with NDTV, sir.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, as far as the latest in the Ahmedabad plane crash is concerned, one more body has also been recovered. The body has been recovered from the AI-171 wreckage. But my colleague, Ravish Ranjan, who's there on the ground, he spoke to the people who are living near these airports. Take a look at this report.
देखिए, ये अहमदाबाद का एयरपोर्ट है और उससे सटा सबसे पहली जो कॉलोनी है वो लक्ष्मी कॉलोनी है, और उसके बाद में ये मेघानी कॉलोनी, जहाँ पर मैं इस वक्त खड़ा हूँ। और अगर इस जगह पर हादसा होता तो आप समझिए कि बहुत सारे घर बने हुए हैं, सैकड़ों लोग इससे हताहत हो सकते थे। यही वजह है कि इस इलाके के लोग अब पायलट का शुक्रिया कह रहे हैं कि पायलट के वजह से वो जहाज बिल्कुल रिहायशी इलाके में नहीं गिरा। ये आप आंटी बताइए, उस दिन जो है जहाज क्या कितनी आवाज़ तेज हुई क्या?
हाँ, 3-4 बार सर आवाज़ आ रही थी। हम तो डर गए थे, क्या हुआ, आतंकवादी आए क्या, कि भूकंप आया ऐसा करके। फिर धुआं मैं दौड़ी वहाँ से, तो रास्ता खबर नहीं पड़ी, फिर पब्लिक बाहर आ गई थी सर।
अच्छा, ये जहाज क्या उस समय बहुत नीचे था क्या? और अगर इस इलाके में दुर्घटना हो जाती तो
हो जाती, सब मर जाते सर, यहाँ के पीछे लक्ष्मी नगर के सब।
अच्छा, ये आप देख सकते हैं कि बहुत बड़ी एक रिहायशी आबादी है। लक्ष्मी नगर और मेघानी नगर, दो आबादी हैं। और सबसे पहला जो वायरल वीडियो बना था वो इसी इलाके के एक युवा ने बनाया था। तो आप सोचिए, यही वजह है कि इन दोनों ही इलाकों के जो लोग हैं वो अब पायलट का शुक्रिया कह रहे हैं कि क्योंकि एयरपोर्ट से बिल्कुल सटा हुआ, उसकी चारदीवारी से बिल्कुल लगा हुआ लक्ष्मी नगर है और मेघानी नगर। और ये कॉलोनी इसलिए बहुत अहम हो जाती है क्योंकि जब ये विमान का हादसा हुआ तो सबसे पहले मेघानी कॉलोनी के लोग और ये इससे सटा हुआ जो आर्मी का कैंप है, यही दो स्थानीय लोग और आर्मी के साथ में मिलकर सबसे पहले रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन चलाया। हमारे साथ में रेखा जी हैं और मोहन जी हैं। मोहन जी वो शख्स हैं जिन्होंने 5 MBBS के छात्रों को तुरंत हॉस्पिटल पहुंचाया। रेखा जी यहाँ पर इनका घर है। आपने रेखा जी क्या देखा उस वक्त?
सर, उस वक्त मैं घर में थी। मैंने देखा कि सर पूरा घर, पहले तो एकदम तेज़ से आवाज़ आई, मतलब क्रैश हो रहा था इसलिए बहुत तेज़ आवाज़ आया। तो फिर पहले तो समझ में नहीं आया कि क्या हो रहा है। पहले ऐसा लगा कि जैसे कि भूकंप आया हो। फिर जैसे ही हम बाहर निकले वैसे ही बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट की आवाज़ आई, मतलब प्लेन ब्लास्ट हुआ होगा। फिर ऊंची ऊंची धुआं, आगों की लपटें बहुत ऊंची ऊंची उड़ रही थी। फिर पहले हमने तो सोचा कि पाकिस्तानियों ने अटैक किया होगा। फिर बाद में मतलब जब देखने गए तब पता चला कि नहीं, ये पैसेंजर प्लेन है और क्रैश हुआ। घर भी ऐसे पूरा वाइब्रेंट हो रहा था, मानो कि भूकंप आया, चीज़ें हिल रही है, टेबल हिल रहा है, दरवाज़ा खिड़कियाँ सब हिल रही थी उस वक्त।
अच्छा।
तो पहले समझ में नहीं आया कि ये मतलब पाकिस्तानियों ने ये किया या क्रैश हुआ है। फिर जब देखने गए, घर से भी सब देखने गए, फिर पता चला कि पैसेंजर प्लेन क्रैश हुआ है।
अगर ये 200 मीटर पहले हो जाता
तो शायद हम लोग बचते भी नहीं, क्योंकि जो उनका जो प्लेन का जो टायर है ना, वो एग्जैक्ट हमारे छत को टच करते करते हुए निकला है। हाँ, और जो घर के आगे पेड़ है उसको विंग्स जो वो है ना, उसके जो पंखे वो उसको काटते हुए गया है। तो वो पायलट की मेहरबानी उतना कि उन्होंने इस एरिया में, नहीं तो आज हम भी नहीं बचते। ऐसा संख्या और भी ज़्यादा बढ़ सकती थी, मतलब आम जनता और भी ज़्यादा मर सकते थे अगर इतने एरिया में उन्होंने अगर लैंडिंग की होती तो।
मोहन जी हैं जिन्होंने 5 छात्रों को तुरंत निकाला वहाँ से। मोहन जी, जैसे धमाका हुआ आपका घर 500 मीटर दूरी पर है, कैसे फिर आप निकले वहाँ से?
सर मैं खाना खा रहा था, मैंने भी खाने का एक निवाला ही खाया था। तो मैंने देखा कि मेरे घर का जो दरवाज़ा ज़ोर से पटका, तो मुझे क्या लगा कि कहीं भूकंप तो नहीं या आंधी आई। तो मैंने इतनी ज़ोर से हवा आ रही थी, चल रहा था। तो जैसे मैं बाहर आके देखा तो पब्लिक चिल्ला रही थी, बोले प्लेन गिरा प्लेन। मैं फिर दौड़ के गया तो मैंने सामने देखा धुआं था, चारों तरफ आग लगी हुई थी। मैं वहाँ मैस में गया, देखा बच्चे चिल्ला रहे थे वहाँ पर, बोले बचाओ बचाओ, और वो फंस गए थे बेचारे, अंदर मलबे में दबे हुए थे। फिर हम लोगों ने, कमांडो है आर्मी के, वो आर्मी वाले भी थे और मेरे कुछ फ्रेंड भी थे, हम लोगों ने सब ने मिलकर उन बच्चों को उस मलबे से निकाला और उनकी हालत बहुत बुरी थी। कोई के माथे में लगा तो कोई पाँव चलने की स्थिति थी नहीं। फिर हम लोगों ने उनको बेड में ले आकर नीचे जाकर उनको एम्बुलेंस में बिठा दिया। और
अगर 100-200 मीटर पहले ये हादसा होता तो और ज़्यादा बड़े
हमने वो तो पायलट का शुक्रिया देना चाहता हूँ, क्योंकि उन्होंने प्लेन थोड़ा आगे ले लिया। अगर बाई द वे अगर यहाँ गिरा होता तो लाखों पब्लिक मरती।
तो ये आप देख सकते हैं, ये मेघानी कॉलोनी है जिसके लोग अब पायलट का शुक्रिया अदा कर रहे हैं कि उन्होंने बिल्कुल वीरान जगह पर प्लेन को ले जाने की कोशिश की, लेकिन प्लेन ऊंचाई पर उड़ नहीं पाया। इसके वजह से इस तरीके का जो हादसा है वो हो गया। एक बहुत ही विभत्स हादसा है। मृतकों की तादाद भी अब बढ़कर 274 हो गई है। 30 से ज़्यादा घायलों का इलाज अभी बीजे मेडिकल कॉलेज में चल रहा है।
All right, breaking news coming in at this time. DNA profiling has been completed for 9 victims of the Air India crash. The civil hospital in Ahmedabad, it has confirmed that the DNA of 9 bodies has been successfully matched with the family members. The first body has also been handed over to the relatives, and as per protocol, mortal remains are being released only after a complete DNA verification is done along with the legal paperwork. The remaining bodies will be handed over to the bereaved families after due formalities are completed. Meanwhile, the Congress chief, Mallikarjun Kharge, he has met with the crash victims. In fact, Mr. Kharge, along with DK Shivkumar, the Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, they met with the victims there in the hospital. They were in Ahmedabad, where these leaders met the victims at the Ahmedabad Civil Hospital.
President Mallikarjun Kharge has just arrived. It is DK Shivkumar, Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister, is along with him, and we can see Pawan Kheda amongst others who had been the part of this delegation. He is here to meet the patients who had been admitted after the Air India plane crash. It is Mallikarjun Kharge, Congress President, who will also visit the crash site, and now he has arrived at the trauma center over here along with senior Congress leaders, and he is now going inside. He will meet the survivors, the lone survivor in fact, Vishwas Kumar, and also others amongst the undergraduate students who are there at the hostel, and he will meet those victims. Although it is the Congress party who had also told their supporters, their workers here in the state of Gujarat to extend full support to the family members, and also it is now after Prime Minister Narendra Modi, leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha, and Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge arriving over here at the civil hospital in Ahmedabad to meet the survivors and the victims of the horrific Air India crash in Ahmedabad. This is Aishwarya Jain with journalist Sachin Gupta for NDTV.
Time now for a very short break. We'll be back with more on the other side.
Missiles fly, tensions escalate. Fearsome eruption between Iran and Israel. Middle East on the boil again.
Operation Rising Lion.
Two nations strike, global tremors.
که رژیم صهیونیستی اشتباه بزرگی کرد.
Without US help and military and intelligence help, Israel couldn't carry out this kind of massive operation against Iran.
Israel-Iran at war.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
News is not just headlines, it is what impacts you. And news should never be mistaken for noise. What matters is the reality. Accurate, in-depth, and with the right perspective. For over 20 years, I have been a journalist, and never has clarity mattered more than now. At Newsnight, we go beyond the surface. We dissect the details, challenge the narratives, and bring you the unparalleled clarity you deserve in a world clouded by misinformation. We are bold, we are direct. Newsnight, for the news in your interest. Only on NDTV 24/7.
After 2 years of the India-Canada tensions, it's the big relationship reboot. Indian Prime Minister heads to the G7 summit. Indispensable India on the global stage. Modi's multilateral momentum. NDTV live from the G7 summit in Canada.
Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad, India's latest aviation disaster. India responds to the tragedy. Facts first, 100% ground reports.
Under this is the tail,
Here, and this is just one of the buildings that will give you an idea of the quantum of loss.
24 to 48 hours is the deadline that has been given for the DNA testing.
Maximum reporters, maximum coverage on NDTV.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you.